Hello and welcome to Chicken's Chat. I'm Chris George, known as Chicken George, and this is the fourth episode of the podcast. I've got an amazing guest for you today, legend in 5 Platoon B Company 1st Battalion Royal Anglians. His name is Dan Smith Jr. How you doing, Dan? You all right, mate?
Yeah, how you doing, mate? I'm all right. You?
Yeah, good, mate. Good.
Good.
Just like my other episodes, we're basically going to be discussing your life, Junior,
Mm-hmm.
and your experiences sort of before the military, during the military, and after the military.
Yeah.
And also, just like my other episodes, I sort of always like to start with sort of from the beginning of your life. Obviously, not when you were born, but
Yeah,
sort
I'm
of the
pretty sure that's the
beginning.
same for everyone, isn't it?
Yeah, exactly. I like sort of the people who are listening just to sort of get a good idea of the guys coming on here, sort of like, their upbringing and all different ones, some great, some not so, you know what I mean? So if you could
Yeah.
just sort of give us sort of like where you grew up and stuff like that, mate.
Yeah, man. No way. So, born and bred, small town outside of Cambridge. It's called St Neots. Um, one of them towns, really. Everyone knows everyone. Everyone's dads grew up here, granddads grew up here, that sort of thing. So, you sort of everyone's known. But yeah, other than well, if you think about it, I was a bit of a fucker at school, really, growing up. I don't know, man. I mean, but when I was a young kid, like through primary school and that, I was actually like well smart and like reading books and stuff. And then
Yeah.
sort of hit secondary school, and that was it. Then like stealing food out of canteens and smoking dope on lunch breaks. I, I was suspended all the time, man. One of me and my mates, Danny, we weren't allowed to go to the prom at the end of the year.
Yeah.
Just because of how bad we were. Last day of school, they come in and took us out the lessons like a half hour early just to get us out of the way.
Is
But
it?
proper, like, I don't know. It's not like I don't know. I think I was a bit of a sort of. I like the limelight. I was a class clown sort of thing, but it obviously didn't
Yeah.
do my schooling or anything like that any good.
So you like the
So,
attention.
yeah, I mean, mate, I used to sit in like in English, you open the window and pretend to shoot a shotgun at cows, like what a teacher was teaching. Just to take the attention off them.
Yeah, I can remember even actually when I was at school, and you always had the odd teacher who just generally like. I can remember in science,
Mm.
I got sent out a lot, and literally it kind of got to the point where, I mean, most of the time I didn't even do anything. You know what I mean? I'd just be sort of laughing because somebody
So
was
that's why
putting
they
me
get
off.
picked on.
Yeah. And I can just remember walking in there one day, and literally I only put one foot in that door, and he was just like, "Out!" And I'm like, "Roger, see you later,
I
mate."
mean, we give our science teacher, Mr. Godbolt, we give him a nervous breakdown in the middle of the class, in the middle of the lesson. Yeah, I think I was doing a science test. We got our year group split up going into I don't know what year it was, but there's four of us that couldn't like sort of four you couldn't put together in any classes. And I
Yeah,
ended up in like the top science class. I don't know nothing about science.
yeah.
So we had a test one day, just a quick pop one or whatever they call them, and I just wrote "See you next Friday" down the side of the paper and handed it in. Or see you next Tuesday, even not next Friday. But you know what I mean? That's the sort of thing
Yeah.
I did. But I knew I
So,
was joining the army, though. That's the other thing. I'd sort of made that plan when I was younger,
so did
and
you
I
have
sort of
you have any family members sort of in the military, or was just something?
well, both my granddads were. So I think
Yeah.
granddad on my mum's side, he was a tanky back like just after the Second World War, and my dad's dad was a fusilier.
Right.
So yeah, that I think what have we got? I think I'm one of 18 grandkids or something like that, and I'm the only one that went and joined the army. So that kind of
18
made my granddad
grandkids.
up.
Yeah, he's definitely the
I know,
favourite
mate. My
then.
granddad was a right rawny little fucker. So, he's had 5 kids. My dad had 4. My uncle had 4 boys. You know, it's rife
So
around here.
you've got a massive family then.
Yeah, like the immediate family's quite big. Like, so I've got 3 younger brothers.
Yeah.
And then my dad's got 1 brother, 3 sisters. My uncle's got 4 boys as well. So there's 8 boys straight off the bat there.
Yeah.
You know, and then my other auntie's got like 3 kids and whatever. So yes, there's quite a few of us.
Quite a
Granddad never
few.
remembered our names at Christmas. It was always, here's a selection box, boy. You know? Cheers. See that one coming.
God, mate, I tell you what, yeah, I got 4 brothers, yeah, and I can always remember sort of getting a selection box. But I
Yeah.
tell you what, I'd probably get about 1 chocolate bar out of them because they used to take it out. I used to try and hide it every year, mate, but I'd always find it, mate. Especially my youngest brother, he'd take the chocolate out of them. He used to snap me, mate.
I don't know, but the thing is, I had this same selection box for like 20 odd years of my life.
Yeah.
It was never anything else. It was just a selection box. And he'd actually write boy and girl on them so that he could take them to the right houses.
Oh, God. So, like you said, you already had in mind that you wanted to join the army while you was in secondary school, I guess.
Yeah.
So, you didn't join straight after school, though?
No, I was due to go to Harrogate. I was looking at going to Harrogate.
Yeah.
And I had a car crash. I was in the back of a car coming back from football one day. I fractured 3 parts of my lower spine.
Damn.
So that's what stopped me, like in the initial instance, which would have I would have done Harrogate or whatever. But by the time I was better from that, I could go straight into Carrick.
Yeah.
Straight onto the adults course or whatever it is they call it.
Yeah. So in 2005, January, you signed up and joined the army and found yourself in Carrick, mate.
Yeah, I had to lie to my mum and dad about it though. I told them I was going to get a qualification. But they didn't want me joining the infantry, and I was like, "Well,
No.
I'm too thick to do anything else." You know what I mean? So I had to lie to them, and they kept going, "Oh, so what are you doing?" I'm like, "Oh yeah, I don't know. I'm going to be an electrician, I think." Until I got, and yeah, all the way up until week 4 of training when I got what you get your beret, didn't you, or whatever.
Yeah.
They come up and there's all these infantry units, and my dad went, "You ain't going to be an electrician, are you?" I was like, "Nah." Didn't know how to tell you. I'm just going to be cannon fodder. Sorry, Dad. All your dad's good. All your son's good for is getting shot at.
I can't believe you lied to your parents. Brilliant. So you did 12 weeks basic training in Carrick.
Yeah.
How did you find that?
Do you know what? If I'm honest, I sort of wanted to get out quite early on in training, but I sort of tested myself a little bit, and I knew a lot of people didn't believe in me either. You know, so I sort of first 12 weeks I was battling against like just chucking it in because it weren't really what I wanted to do, or I had a lot of mixed feelings, but I stuck it out for it. To be fair,
Yeah.
Yeah. So that's the difficult bit of that 12 weeks, though, isn't it? It's the breaking you. You know, I showed up with longish hair, and I was getting called boy band and all this sort of stuff, and I'm like, well, my hair weren't even long, chicken. It was probably like an inch or 2 at the most. And like, yeah, you come here to be in a boy band or be in the army? I was like, I don't know.
Yeah,
I don't know, corporal. Oh fuck, shit. Sorry, mate.
I don't know.
You know that one goes down well, doesn't it?
Yeah, exactly. Well, they put you under pressure, don't they?
That's it. You shoot yourself. You call them mate or whatever, and then that's it. You get them drilled. But
yeah, mate. You know it's straight on that line, mate. So you did the 12 weeks. So did you enjoy? Obviously, you did another 12 weeks, I believe, in the second phase, doing the infantry part of the training.
Yeah.
Did you enjoy that bit more? Obviously, it's a lot more hard, a lot more robust. You know, they're going to take you out. Yeah.
Do you know what, Chicken? When you look back at it, you kind
Yeah.
of go, do you know what? It was nothing really. It was what it was. But then when you're
Yeah.
there, getting woken up at 4 o'clock for bayonet 2, getting ragged around the place, mess tins going off, and like being banged around inside your bed, and you know,
Yeah.
you know what it's like getting your locker thrown across the fucking parade square when you're already a good mile and a half away from the parade square as well. You're like, oh, brilliant. I suppose I better
Do you
get there.
know?
Oh, I've got 30 seconds to get there and get it all back. If I thanks.
Yeah. Exactly.
But I mean, like, I don't know. You know, it's like yourself. It could be quite grueling, can't it? There's, you know, the
Yeah.
TAC X's and that to get you. It's made to push you a little bit in it, but I think. I mean, I was just about to finish training, and I actually tried to get out.
Yeah.
I'd handed my letter in. It was so Michael Butcher was my screw in training. He was our corporal. He ended up as
Yeah.
the RQ, I think. Not,
Right.
so yeah, so he was that's what I had training me, and I think he butt stroked me once on an exercise. You know, he dragged me around by my chin strap like countless times, and you think the bloke hates you, and you get to the end and you try and get out, and they're like, no, you shouldn't get out. I'm like, oh, you know, you kind of get a bit lost, but. So I'd sort of made my mind up. I wanted to get out. I proved everybody wrong. You know, I was probably a couple of weeks out of finishing training. You know, and I thought, you know what, I can get out now and say that I've done it. But as that happened, I found out when I come home one weekend that my nan had throat cancer, and
Yeah.
obviously she was like mega proud of what I was doing and that kind of give me a bit of pride in what I'd actually done and achieved over them 24 weeks or so, 6 months or whatever it is.
Yeah.
And that sort of give me a bit more drive to carry on and actually get to battalion and actually do what I'd set out to do in the first place.
Yeah. Fair one, mate. You know what I mean? Yeah, I think I can agree with that. I think really, sort of by the sounds of it, you kind of finished it and then thought, actually, I've actually achieved something pretty cool here. Do you know what I
Yeah,
mean?
yeah. Like I say, when you look back at it, everything that you go through that 6 months, sort of piss arsing around and getting beasted here and there, and while you're going through it, you're thinking, oh, this is crap. I don't want to do this. But like now, I
Yeah.
look back at it, and 15 odd years ago, and when you have a conversation with some ordinary Tom, Dick, or Harry out down the pub, and they go, "Oh, well, I couldn't do that. I couldn't be told what to do, or I couldn't stand to being shouted at." Blah blah blah. It actually makes. Obviously, you turn around and go, "Yeah, no. Not a lot of people can really, can they?" But in my head, I'm going, "I've got something there. I've got enough control or self control and respect that I can take that because it's teaching me and turning me into a better person."
Yeah.
So yeah, it's an odd
And
one.
it is hard.
I've noticed that. I noticed that in myself and what it had done to me as well. So and the ways it had changed me.
Totally, mate. Yeah, because obviously the idea is they sort of break you down and then bring you back up, and you do feel completely different once you've done training. Well, you're a soldier as such. You know what I mean? You're
Yeah,
an experienced soldier, but you are a soldier.
yeah. You're a soldier that's prepared to then take the next step of cleaning other people's toilets when you get to battalion. You know, you just done 6 months thinking the bee's knees, and you get to battalion, and someone's like, "Yeah, get up and do the toilets at 6 o'clock every morning." Roger, living the dream.
So what I want to quickly talk to you about is Anchor. Now, Anchor is what I create my podcast through. If you haven't heard about Anchor, it's probably the easiest way to create a podcast. One of the things I like to say is that it's free, which is obviously great. And when it comes to actually creating an episode on the podcast, it's very simple. It's got creation tools. It allows you to obviously record and edit your podcast. And you can do it from your phone or you can even do it from your computer. One of the things I love about Anchor, obviously, for myself, is that it's allowed me to create a podcast and put out my stories and other guest stories that I've had on there about life experience and PTSD, and it's allowed people to connect. So if you guys have got any sort of subjects that you want to share with any other people and you've always thought about doing a podcast, then obviously take a look at Anchor and get your podcast out there. One of the great things about it is that it will, once you've done your episode and it gets published, then Anchor will distribute that through different platforms like Spotify, Apple Podcast, and lots of different others, which is amazing because it means that you haven't got to worry about doing anything like that. You can also make money from the podcast with no minimum listenership. But yeah, that's obviously something that you'll have to look at. It's everything that you need to make a podcast, and it's also in one place. So download the free Anchor app or go to Anchor FM and get yourself started. Thanks. So talking about battalion, you've finished your 12 weeks second phase in Catterick.
Yep.
You passed out on your parade square, and then you joined 1st Battalion Royal Angling Regiment, same regiment.
Oh, you say about passing out. I remember my granddad joined the parade. He actually got up. My old granddad, he's lost it, bless him. He got up and followed the parade. Marching around the parade square at Catterick. Silly old twat.
What did they do?
They laughed. I was, you know what I mean? It was one of them things. I was pissing myself, but I was mortified. But I was also like, does my dad even know he's gone missing yet? You know what I mean? He could have just wandered off on the parade square and been anywhere. But oh, mate, I actually found it over the weekend. My auntie had recorded it, so I've got it on a video. So I watched it back over the weekend. That's why I remembered that. Just as the end of it, we're marching off. He just camera pans to me granddad. He's up there bobbing away.
So what bit did he get up and sort of decide?
Right at the end, you know, when you do the march past and you give it an eyes right or whatever, he got up and followed it across the front of the parade square. This is like a 24-stone man as well. He can't walk properly, but he's got that bounce in his step. I think that just made the day for me. That did.
Did he TikTok though?
Do you know what? I'm gonna have to watch it. I'm gonna have to double check on that. That'll be hilarious.
I was gonna say, because if he didn't, what a legend! But he was in time, fair play.
But the best bit about it is, like, obviously, you go back to the naffy and all that, then you have a beer and all we got as we were marching back towards there was, whose fucking granddad was that? Fine, Sergeant.
Oh, mate. What a legend.
Yeah, man.
That sounds like a right geezer, mate.
So, yeah. So, back in there on the battalion after that. Sorry to get sidetracked.
No, you're right, mate. Yeah, so you joined battalion, 1st Battalion Royal Angling. How did you get on in that sort of joining period?
Do you know what? It's I remember, like, ending up as a senior person or whatever, or being in there a little bit longer and new people coming in because we were there. But when I joined, the battalion was in Iraq. So
yeah,
you've got a load of fresh-faced sprogs just come out of the depot, you know, walking around giving it big bollocks, thinking they own the gaff. Yeah. But there's no one there. You're on rear party because everyone's in Iraq. So, like, you got the run of the place. You know what I mean? Yeah, bed space. Yeah, I'm gonna have 4 lockers. This, and you know, you can do what you want. And I'll tell you what, though, it was a big shock because I think a lot of us made us really nervous then when the battalion came back.
Yeah, I could imagine.
But yeah, like I say, it was we've just come out of training and we got a whole camp to ourselves. You know, it was madness.
So how long was it? How many months? Was it just a couple of months and then battalion sort of returned?
Because I was due to come out to Iraq, but I had an accident at home where I jumped in a river and I landed on a mate's head. I broke 3 ribs or something like that, so I couldn't. At the end, I couldn't deploy. But which then made it even worse because people are coming back and I'm going, yeah, well, I should have been there, but they go, you weren't. Oh yeah, but
So you jumped in a river
yeah,
and landed on top of your mate and broke 3 ribs.
yeah, and I had to drag him up because I think I knocked him out, but he was sort of going down. There was bubbles coming out of his nose, I know that much.
Wow. So you've been through the wars in the past couple of years at this point already, mate. You know what I mean?
Yeah, of course. So I was already fucking hardened when I got whenever I got back. All I'd done was set myself up for a piss taking and all that sort of stuff. Because, like I say, I was like, yeah, well, I broke my ribs, and people were like, oh, well, you're on Biff, are you? Yeah, all right, well done, Biff Mong.
Biff Mong, yeah. So we basically come back and you was on the Biff.
Yeah, I think I was. But the thing was, is before I'd done it, I think I played football with Scotty Corliss. Right, so he'd come back from Iraq for something or other, and he ended up by playing football with us against whoever.
Yeah.
So I made quite a good friendship straight away with Scotty. He's probably in the platoon was the best person to get in that sense. He was a bit of a personality, wasn't he?
He was a senior.
Yeah, I mean, like, he had a fucking hell of a lot more hair back then. But, oh, chicken, have you seen it?
He's dropped the ball.
Oh, you seen him? I was at his wedding the other year, and the photographer wasn't allowed to get an angle from above. It was actually set out before he started taking pictures. Scotty went out there and went, "You're not allowed to take pictures from any of the places above. Everything has to come at an angle so you can't see the top of my head."
Yeah, he actually really liked his hair.
He did, didn't he?
He did, mate. Yeah, he loved his hair. So you come back. So the battalion had returned from Iraq. So this was 2005, wasn't it?
Yeah, it was. Yeah.
And you went in. So you obviously got put into 5%.
Yeah. So at the time, that was we had Keith Neves. Keith Neves was acting boss, wasn't he? And Matt Waters was acting platoon sergeant.
That's right.
Yeah. I can't remember what screws we had.
I think we did a couple of exercises during that time. And so quite a lot of the 5 platoon changed sort of like after Iraq.
Yeah, because I remember that was a thing, and all sort of there was some big personalities in that platoon in Iraq, wasn't there? So you know that's another thing is like everyone coming back, and then you walking into this platoon of like sort of already established friends and personalities. Yeah,
there was a lot of personalities. So quite a few sort of left, and quite a few sort of went over to D Company. And a lot of new guys came in. Yeah. So, to be fair, it was a really good platoon in Iraq, and it was a really good platoon leading up, even going on the next tour.
Yeah, that was really. I tell you, we had some times, didn't we? Though, like not just the training side of it. Training is training, isn't it? You know what it is, but you know, it's like as mates, as a platoon, we. Well, I'm sure every platoon probably felt the same amongst themselves, but we was always out together. You know, we was always doing stuff in the block or always out on the piss, and you know.
Oh yeah.
I mean, it's just little things you think about when we was on the piss. I mean, remember Big Donk? Yeah, I'm pretty sure Colin spoke about him the other day, in your last one. But I remember Donk in that big club in Guildford on the corner. You know, standing there, taking his top off, wrapped it round his fist, and started on himself in the mirror. So that's a personality that we've got for a start.
I actually think I should remember that as well. I swear, man. Because weren't the games in the bathroom? You know, like you do in most places. You know, like
no spray, no lay.
Like the after show. Yeah, that's the guy. Yeah, I swear he was trying to stop him in there and all kinds of stuff.
The bloke was an animal. I remember being in Pete's Palace, the all-you-can-eat Chinese, and I think it was a platoon
Yeah.
meal out, and there was a table behind us with like 3 couples on it, and the girls started gobbing it, and Donk just turned around and said, "If you don't shut up, I'm gonna knock the fucking 3 of your boyfriends out," basically. And like they kept giving it, but he stood up, and the 3 lads just went, "No, no, shut up, shut up, shut up."
Yeah.
Scary bloke, wasn't he?
He had that way about him, yeah. He definitely had that way about him, man. So basically, the first big thing you did is obviously you went to Canada.
Yeah, yeah,
Is
yeah.
that right? In 2006.
Yeah, that's right. To play enemy, isn't it? That's
Yeah, you went in 2006.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, yeah. That's probably it's probably the first big thing. Really, that was good because you got a lot of downtime as well with that. I thought.
Yeah.
But I mean, like, what a place! What a hole that is, Medicine Hat. What a that is like it's just scum personified in a city.
So yeah, you went out there and you played enemy. See what in the massive open prairies where they do the training. You was basically playing the enemy.
Yeah, yeah. So basically, I think we was out there with Recce. So they drive. I can't remember what the vehicles were, if I'm honest with you. But basically, you drive around, debus, set up a harbour or whatever, and then just wait for. I think it was Hussars or whatever they're called, the tankies that we were doing it, playing enemy for. And obviously
Yeah.
they just rock up and then yeah, so you just just play an enemy. So it's a bit buckshy really, isn't it? It's not like a proper exercise where you're having to stag on properly and you know none of that. It's good. I'll tell you that prairie didn't half go up in flames as well.
Yeah, it's massive. The old prairie is massive. Like so, when we talk about the prairie, people obviously don't say it's like just like this massive, huge field. It just goes on forever, you know. And we do all the tanks do their training out there, like you said, and it's really good because it's completely different type of exercise they do to sort of any others.
Yeah. You can't actually give a sort of an idea of the size of the area, can you? It's like I say, these tanks are just driving around for miles upon miles upon miles before they do anything. You know, so I don't know. Say sort of you put it into perspective when we do a section attack, how far we're attacking, or you know, an advanced battle, that sort of stuff. You've got to make that bigger because one of our steps has got to be like a mile to a tank. You know what I mean? So it's huge. It's huge.
It's huge. Yeah. So did you go to the Rocky Mountains when you was out there?
Yeah. I think because we had like 2 weeks R&R while you're over there, and like sort of rest and recuperation, just to chill out and whatever. It was me and Cole Perkins actually wanted to go down and see Niagara Falls, but we were that far away from it. It would have taken us more than 2 weeks to drive there and back, apparently. So I don't know the truth. I don't know the truth in that. I was probably lied to, chicken. You know, I don't know exactly what I would have done. I would have probably got there, looked at it, and go, "That's all right. Come on, then, just jump back in the car again." But I can't really.
Yeah. I think it is quite long. I think it's quite far.
Yeah.
I mean, don't quote me on that, but I think it is quite far. I don't think they lied to. I think they did lie to you a little bit, but not massively.
Oh, it's not the first time I was lied to by the army.
So you, because that was like a venture training in the Rocky Mountains. Because I can remember doing it, and you could go on horses. I didn't do the horses, but you can do the biking and stuff like that. But
it's incredible. So because we couldn't go with our original plan, I think people did different things. Some people were talking about going to Calgary because they've got the biggest shopping mall in the world or something, apparently. And then I know some of the guys went parachuting, you know. So we went up into the Rockies. We went around. Is it called Banff?
I can't remember the names.
But it was like,
names.
do you remember that show on TV, Due South? Where there used to be a show on TV, Due South, and it was like a proper Canadian Rocky, like wearing the red police suits, all that sort of stuff. But I don't know, it's a bit difficult to explain it like that if you've never seen it. I must have watched some proper guff TV when I was younger. Yeah, do you remember Due South? Nah, mate. No, mate, I've had a life.
Honestly, I don't, mate. I don't. I tell you what.
Chicken, Google it. I'm not having this.
No.
I'm not gonna be made to look like I don't know what I'm talking about.
Mate, I'll Google this after, mate. I'm sure there's probably
a Mountie. That's what they're called. Mounties.
Mounties, right? Okay, I'm with you.
Riding their horses or fucking moose or whatever they were. I don't know. But yeah, so like that's just riding a moose into a village. But you know what I mean? It's all like, I don't know. I've lost my track of thought now. This has done me. I can just imagine someone riding a moose in a town.
It's an incredible place. It's like the type of place, the Rocky Mountains, like you sort of see like pictures online, and you know the lakes are like crystal clear. And I'll tell you what, when I was at, I saw a little black bear.
Do you remember the bear video? What's the bear approaches?
Yeah, I do remember the bear video. It's good, man.
But I mean, I did whitewater rafting as well over there, and that was incredible, man. Amazing. That was. It's just beautiful, and I think the one that we did it on was actually man-made for, like an Olympics or something. Or there was that there as well. But like, just it's like you say, the scenery and everything. It's incredible, absolutely beautiful.
It is incredible. One thing I can remember about Canada though, that's always stuck with me, and I always have a laugh with Ken about this, and just blokes at work and stuff like that. It's the fucking gophers. Can you remember that little shits, man?
I just fucking one thing out of the whole of everything from Canada. Just gophers.
Oh mate, I could just remember sitting there, and it was when I think the Euros were on, and I think we were waiting to watch England play Portugal. And we sat outside. You know, they give you like them sandwiches, like in a little plastic box. They're proper ropey, but we sort of had them. And Willsey took one out and put the plastic down. And I can just remember sitting, I was like a couple of meters away from him, just see this little head pop up out of this hole, mate. And this little thing's just looking at this sandwich and has come out, took the whole sandwich. Like, I mean, it's got this whole sandwich in his hand, mate, and it's just took it down the hole. Willsey's turned around, got no idea, just looked. He's like, "Where the fuck's my sandwich?"
and you're standing there going, "He's never gonna fucking believe this." Where's my sandwich? Chicken. If you see my sandwich, well, Willsey, listen, the gopher just popped up out of nowhere, took it under his arm and went off home with it.
I think he did believe me. I think he did, because when we stayed in like the GP tents and stuff like that, like on the adventure training, like they told you then don't leave your rubbish out, because them guys will come in here and they'll run off with a bag. They'll take the brown bag.
Oh, I've got memories of Canada. I just do you remember Pingu, Adam Sloan?
Oh, yes.
I don't. I'll tell you what. I don't think anyone's ever going to know what the truth of it was. But he got arrested one night. Right. So when we were on parade and Snowy was acting Sergeant Major when we was over there. What a bloke! What we can ask for someone any better than Snowy. There he goes. Right. Where's Pingu? And all these stories started flying around. And my favourite one is he got in a fight with someone's garden gnomes. Lost, got tasered by the old woman, and then the police come and lifted him. But there's about 4 stories like this bouncing around, and it just ended up as that in the end. Oh, cracks me up.
Oh, mate, I can remember hearing about that back in camp, mate. Let alone being in Canada.
It never happened, but there was like rumours that an old woman beat him up. And then he was caught opening a can on the street, because you get nicked for that over there, didn't you? But, I tell you, Oh, what the other thing is stilettos, the steakhouse.
The letter.
Where they
Oh
serve you in a lingerie. Yeah,
yeah, it's great. Then.
me and Alan Shepherd, we pulled a couple of the birds that work there, and but we
Yeah.
were talking Australian,
Okay.
so they thought we was Australian,
Was you?
and then the the
Oh, I
more
think I can remember Sheps
the
messing
more
about
Sheps
that
got
before.
drunk, he was going from Australia to Essex. And I couldn't carry on. I was just cracking up. So, but yeah. Oh, but the Australian. And then, the best story I've got from that is we decided to when we were chatting birds up that the night we was out. We decided we had to do something to do with animals or something like that. And
Yeah.
I did an Australian accent. Said that I worked for Steve Irwin, looking for new things for Australia Zoo. I'm sure Kieran Hunt said that he artificially inseminates cows. So when they asked him, like, what's that? He went, well, I just
Yeah.
get a big hand of bull sperm and put my hand up cows' asses until they get pregnant.
So the next thing you actually done, mate, was actually you went to Kenya.
Mm-hmm.
I believe it was at the start of 2007. The
I
training in
can't
Kenya was,
remember.
yeah, I think it was.
Because we
Obviously,
went to, when did we deploy to Africa? That was about March sort of time, wasn't it?
it was April, I think. It was like,
Was it April?
yeah, beginning.
Yeah, so it'd have been a cut. Yeah, so you're probably right. It was probably a month or so, 2 months before that, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think it was early 2007.
Mm.
We went to Kenya. We actually landed in Nairobi, I think.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah.
Um, but yeah,
My God, that was a shithole and all, wasn't it? They don't take you anywhere other than shitholes, do they?
it was crazy. I can remember getting on that bus and you're driving for that bus. I remember one guy setting himself alight in that.
I forgot about that. Oh, mate, that's good. That's going to tickle me for a bit.
Yeah.
I remember driving past that. The bloke was on fire.
It was a long old drive.
Yeah, up to Nanuki Showground, wasn't it?
Yeah.
I think that's what it was called.
Yeah. So we basically go there. So you're basically in a place called Archer's Post.
That's it.
It's red hot. It's bang smack on the equator of the earth. Everything that lives there or grows there is not very nice. And we were there to basically train to get ready to go to Afghanistan. Tell me what it was like. Explain to me.
It,
Like, how did you get on in that sort of? I
well,
think it was 3 weeks.
yeah, it was. Yeah, it was 3 weeks, wasn't it? Yeah. I
Yeah.
mean, I'm chicken. I can sweat in a cold shower, mate. Right, and I'm never comfortable. I'm never comfortable when it's hot.
Yeah.
I've got my windows open at the moment. I'm that bad. So getting off that plane in Nairobi, get into that Archer's Post. I was like, I'm gonna die. I'm gonna die out here. I'm not even gonna get a chance to get shot at in Afghan. I'm gonna die from heat exhaustion in Kenya.
It was bloody hot, mate. It was hot.
It was it was a different sort of heat though, and all though, because it was a sort of muggy type of heat. I
Yeah.
think if I remember rightly.
Yeah.
It's
It was
mate, it
bad.
was disgusting. I remember I've got a picture of me when I got back, and I looked like I've been dipped in tarmac. So like the sun was right on me.
Yeah, so the sun would be really hot, and the ground would be really hot, and everything is just hot. It's ruthless. So basically, when we were there, obviously together, we did mainly live ranges, didn't we?
Yes.
And we basically tab to a range, do that range, and then tab to another one, and it
Yeah.
was real tough.
Yeah. Yeah. It's it was all live firing exercises as well. So it's like it was draining. it's with that heat and the kit. And I think we ended up with a point where we couldn't get proper food or something at some point. We could get decent breakfast at least. But it's like, mate, like you don't realise how much that heat affects everything else that's going on with you. You could be tired and fed up, but when you're sweating buckets and your back's sunburnt through your shirt somehow, you know what I mean? It makes everything a lot worse.
It was real tough. Oh yeah, because actually I can remember us actually putting up a poncho, and it was how sort of like everyone was just taking their kit off like down into the boxes, and I actually got burnt for the bloody poncho. I'll tell you what.
What was it? I've got a really good picture of us lot from Kenya. Actually, I can send it to you.
Yeah, I think I know which one you're on about. There's some really nice ones, isn't there?
Yeah. I've got a few. But yeah, there's a good one of us as a platoon. Well, majority of the platoon anyway.
Yeah.
But yeah, Kenya. So yeah, obviously it was red as you. I don't know. You sort of that's the first time I've seen so many men in a small sort of contained area all have the shits at the same time.
Yeah, I didn't actually get it. I was really, I was so lucky out there. I really was, but blokes were just going down, weren't it? With it, like you said, with the shits and being sick and just feeling like really lethargic. But I was just lucky.
Yeah, you were just chicken George, you just bouncing around everywhere all the time.
Yeah, I was just lucky, mate. Because I think there was only like a couple of us who just got lucky with it. But most of the blokes weren't they? You know what I mean?
I'll tell you who wasn't lucky out there.
Who?
Remember the fucking range safety?
I can remember the range safety. Yeah.
I shouldn't. You shouldn't laugh. But
do you know the funny thing about that? That actual night range is before the range actually started, they kind of said to us, right, you're going to go down here and you're going to push through here, and then you'll fan out as such.
Yeah,
Spread
it was all
out.
trench. It was like trenches, wasn't it?
Yeah, so the safety staff were kind of leading us through it, and they said, right, go on in, lads, and start running up the schmoolie. If you don't know what a schmoolie is, it goes up in the sky and it will sort of light up the whole area so you can kind of see where you're going at night. And they'll say, that will go up in a minute. So they went, right, go on in, and we'll run then, run. And I'm right behind Jay's tower, right, and he's leading me. And I can just remember running behind him. I'm running behind him. This schmoolie goes up, boom. And then all of a sudden, right in front of Jace is this. Do you remember the bushes out there?
Yeah, I think I remember this.
There's this massive thorn bush, and I mean, these thorns are like massive, they're like the size of your fingers, yeah. And he just falls into this bush, like in slow motion, like. And I'm just sort of like laying on top of him, and he's like, "Get off!" And the safety staff like, "What are you doing?" And we're like, "Fucking hell!" It's fucking mental. Mate, he was happy,
I can imagine that. And the face that Jace used to pull when he was like making a noise or something, I could see him going down in slow motion. That face, jaw swinging.
I was pulling him out of it and everything, and they're like, "What's the hold up? What's the hold up?" Oh god, it was all a bit of a nightmare, really.
Yeah. Someone else held us all up on a range as well, didn't they? When they shot the safety.
Someone shot the safety staff, and we ended up sitting there for like 6 hours in the same spot.
I shouldn't laugh, but how the fucking damn the safety's normally behind you, and they're wearing a high-vis vest.
It was all madness. I can remember picking up a little stick from where I was, because I was having to poke away the little scorpions and stuff coming towards me after a couple of hours.
I just remember sitting there on wherever, and I'm like, I weren't even nowhere near this. Why have I still got to sit
here? Yeah, everyone kind of had to wait. No one could go anywhere. Like 6 hours. I swear it was like 6. It was a ridiculous amount of time.
Yeah. It was an early morning attack, and I think it was getting dark by the time we left.
Yeah, it was bad, man.
But
really bad.
Oh dear.
So we finished in Kenya. Obviously, like I said, Kenya was preparation for Afghanistan. We then went on to deploy to Afghanistan, Helmand province, in later on that year in 2007 in April.
Yeah.
You flew out to Bastion with myself, which is the main big camp, and we
You
sort of
make it
landed
sound
there.
like it was just me and you on holiday, mate.
No, it was just me and you on holiday, mate. We flew out with the whole battalion, pretty much.
Yeah.
And we landed in Bastion. How did you find Bastion, mate?
I didn't really have time to take it in. We only see it when we landed and sort of went, didn't we?
Well, I think we spent I think we were there for like 5 or 6
Yeah.
days.
I remember getting like an American school bus to get transported around.
Yeah.
And I think everyone was laying into the guy because he was RAF regiment.
Yeah,
I
because
think
it
I
was quite
remember
long.
Gates. I think I remember Gates from 6th Platoon, like calling him a Renf and fucking, that sort of stuff. So, but yeah, no. So that was. I think the biggest thing that I remember though is was there an American cookhouse on there?
There may have been. There may have been in
I
another
just remember. I'm sure we landed and we just got a better quality of food.
Or rarity.
Yeah, there was actually. It's like Canada. You go up and they've got cans of Coke in the fridges for you, haven't they? Or it's on tap, and
Oh,
we
yeah.
we were lucky if we didn't have to pay 20p for a bit of Robinson squash.
Yeah, oh yeah, mate. The American camps. It's like I mentioned in the last episode, man. If you're a British soldier and you go into the American camps, it's like dreamland.
Yeah,
It's just so much variety, and you can have so much. It's just amazing.
yeah, and you can literally put on there what you wanted as well, couldn't you? You didn't even have to eat it.
No, you didn't have to eat it, man. It's just crazy.
The difference in how they get treated compared to us in regards to that sort of stuff. That's just incredible, isn't it? I think
It is. They live the food life a little better.
Well, do you remember when we went to pay as you dine?
To where?
We went to pay as you dine, didn't we, with the food? So we had to go up and pay for our meals
Yeah,
every time. It's just things like
yeah.
that. But like out over there, well, we're on the subject of food and that. I can't think of the name of the camp now, but there was a Subway, there's a Pizza Hut, there's a Burger King, there's everything. On
That
these
was in
American
Kandahar.
camps. That's the one. Yeah.
In Kandahar, it was amazing. Yeah, like you said, it's a Subway. I can actually remember. Now we're quickly on that subject. I can actually remember sort of going on R&R.
Mm.
There was a Burger King there, and obviously I was just like, "Oh my god, Burger King, amazing, it's sick." Bought this burger, and I could only eat half of it.
Yeah.
And it was just down because my stomach had shrunk so much, and I was full, mate. After half a burger.
You're just in tears throwing it away.
Yeah, I was gutted, mate. I thought, do I sort of wrap it up and stick it in my pocket for later? Well, I weren't sure, mate.
Yeah, man.
But it's incredible
Yeah.
Kandahar.
Yeah.
I think there's a cinema in there as well.
Yeah, like where that Pizza Hut and that was, there was like a big volleyball bit. It was like a stage as well, wasn't there? Like, I think they had things go on, and I don't know,
Yeah, I
even
think you'd even like.
even their PX or whatever it's called, their version of the NAFI, the stuff you can buy there is ridiculous.
Yeah,
Ridiculous, mate.
I think you could actually sort of rent a Harley Davidson as well. I'm pretty sure you could, mate.
Oh, just imagine that rocket driving down a 616 or whatever it's called. I can't remember the name of the road on a Harley. With your 51 strapped to your back.
Mate, I'll tell you what, if there's anyone out there who did actually do that, then you got to message me on Chicken's Chat, okay? So
It'll be like Sean Connery in his trike when he goes around. Do an Afghan version of it. Sean Connery over there.
I'll tell you, mate. I remember seeing the sign and being like, what's going on here? So I think we did about 5 or 6 days in Bastion, and then we flew to a place called Fob Rob, I believe.
Yeah. So, did we go to Fob Rob first?
I think so. I think we may have spent like a week in Fob Rob, and then sort of like went on to sort of work in vehicles.
Yes. Yeah. No, you're right. Yeah. Yeah, because we started off at Fob Rob. Yeah, we went out on the Mogs,
Yeah,
mobile observation groups. I think it was called, wasn't it? Mogs.
yeah,
And that was in the Vikings that were driven by Marines.
yeah. It was, yeah,
Yeah, so they were like they were tracked vehicles. They'd have the front one, which would be the ones that had the driver, the commander, and all that in, and then in the back there'd be 8 of us squashed into a room or a little metal box no bigger than a downstairs toilet.
yeah, man. Yeah, I got some crazy stories in them little Vikings, mate. I can remember one time, sort of like, we must have been travelling in one for like hours and hours. It was just so hot in there, and sort of like drifted off. You know, like we sort of like in and out of
Yeah.
like consciousness, like sleeping. And I just sort of like, oh, I'm so thirsty, and I just sort of like, I can remember putting my bottle of water like down my left side of like the chair. And because I was still like not quite with it, I felt the bottle of water. Do you remember like the long plastic ones?
Yeah.
And I pulled that long plastic one up, and I sort of like opened the lid, undone it, and sort of put it to my mouth. Took like one gulp, mate, and it was gun oil. And I'm just like, oh mate, and I couldn't get that taste out of my mouth. It was so emotional.
Oh mate, I couldn't imagine it. Oh, the worst one. It's like when you think you're like, oh, well, I'm just gonna get a quick 5 minute shot eye in, and you hit something, and you bounce your head off the roof a bit.
Oh, it was honestly shocking. And Lizzie was just like, "What's the matter with you, mate?" And I'm like, "I just basically took a gulp of gun oil." So can you actually remember sort of like in them Vikings? Like, so we went obviously from Fodder and we went in them Vikings because I think we went to quite a few villages, didn't we?
Yeah, I mean, like we stayed out in the desert a couple of times, didn't we? As well, we sort of, that was the idea of it. You drive out, you get a bit of kip, and then they drive you basically near enough directly into where we wanted to be. We didn't have to. We didn't. Although saying that, we still did some big insertion tabs, didn't we?
Yeah, I think we did. We did a couple of bits. I mean, I can remember a lot of the villages we kind of turned up at. They were kind of empty. Quite a few of them, like you said. We'd go in there and just sort of have a look about. And I can remember there being some massive dogs.
Oh, the Afghan hounds! Jesus.
Yeah.
Like you hear about them or you see dogs around here, and you think, oh, that's a big dog, and then you get over there and these things are monsters, aren't they?
Yeah. Actually, I think actually the biggest one I saw was actually on one of them villages while we were doing that. Actually, big, massive grey one on a bit of rope.
That was a donkey.
No, no, mate.
That's that gun oil, mate. It got you. I'm not having it now, chicken. That's a donkey. But no, you're right. You're right. I remember walking into a compound and then turning straight back around and walking out of it. I shit myself.
Yeah.
Oh, they were.
Well, all of the villages, as soon as we were turning up, and a lot of them, they were kind of just they were leaving, weren't
Well,
they?
that's what they.
Thought,
Yeah, that was always just the one of the first things you noticed, wasn't it? So if you notice the locals leaving the area, they know that they've got Terry Taliban's hiding away somewhere, ready to give it Charlie Big Spuds at you, and they like ruin their day, and you know what I mean? It was a bit of a giveaway,
actually,
wasn't it? Really for us, it's eerie as well, wasn't it?
Yeah,
You know,
they were eerie, and actually, fortunately, nothing. Actually, there wasn't actually any in them villages. They must have gone.
No, that's the thing. You're on edge, aren't you? You're like, oh, everyone's leaving, game time. And you get to the end of it and you're like, oh, I don't know what I'm talking about.
Yeah, literally.
But do you remember? Because what was the first stop? What was the first stop we did? That was Op Silicon, wasn't it?
Yeah, I can remember doing the first stop. Yeah, Op Silicon was the first.
Yeah, because I remember getting out of the Vikings and we were sort of like we were on the high ground really, but it was all misty.
Yeah,
it was early morning. Sun's only just come up, but like there was a a mist that sort of sat around your waist, you know, and we're all getting out and we're like, oh, Jesus, boys, this is actually it now, you know.
Yeah.
You know, and little to know how much fun it'd be. But yeah, that was. I think that was when it really set in with me, like getting out the back of that vehicle and actually going and taking a cover, like for real for once. You know what I mean? Like normally when you debus from a vehicle, you don't really get on your belt buckle or you don't do anything, do you? Because it's just whatever. But that's the first time we genuinely stepped out and set out to go to war with someone.
Well, I think we were kind of brief, look, you know, when we go here and we go down there, you know, during our briefings, so they're going to be there. We've got to push them out, and that's that. So we've been told, so we knew already. We were just, you know,
for the people that listening that don't really know, but you have a what's known as a FLET, don't you? The forward line of enemy troops. So with your intelligence ops and all that sort of stuff and whatever else, you always have an idea of where that forward line of enemy troops is, don't you? So like you said, then we know we can advance through and we're going to come in range of whatever building they're in at this point, and so you have a good idea really of where things are happening.
Yeah, exactly.
And obviously, there's no locals there.
No, there's no locals there. I'll tell you what, actually, I just remembered something, sort of going back to when we were sort of like in the Vikings, and we were doing them, like going to villages and just checking them out and stuff like that, but nothing sort of come of it. I can actually remember we would take all of the equipment, you know, the radios and everything. I can remember Rob Arnott having to sort of put all the kit on, you know, like and all of his mini-me kit, the whole lot. I mean, we're talking like, I don't know, it must have been weighing like 50 or
Yeah, because I was a mini-me gunner as well at that point. It's 800 rounds of link you're carrying. I know it's 5.56, but still a fucking hefty
but I think
amount.
they was making us carry like ECM and stuff.
Oh, I remember that.
I swear they was. Yeah, and I could just remember taking a knee, because obviously I was mini-me gunning as well. I took a knee, and I looked at Rob Arnold takes a knee, and he just rolls over. And he's just on his back like a turtle, mate. And he just can't get up.
I lost count the amount of times me and Tom Cox just looked at each other and helped each other up, because we knew, you just understood, like whatever weight you had on you.
Exactly.
Madness. But so carrying on with Silicon though, because obviously that was the first major operation the battalion was involved with out there, wasn't it?
It was, and it was a massively major operation for the battalion. The first one in a very long,
but it was major for us though as well, because it bled us in, didn't it? Really, that was the first. Yeah. I think I remember being in the Wadi. Because what was you? You was 2 section, weren't you? Yeah,
I was 2 section.
We were 1 section. So I remember being in the Wadi with Alan Shepherd, Tom Cox, Tom Mason, Chris McKendrick, James Ursher. Who else did we have? I can't really think of who else we had. But we sat there and we all look at each other, mate, and we started laughing. We're in a Wadi with rounds cracking over the top of your heads. Like,
yeah, I think everyone.
It was like, it's happening. You know what I mean? And that turned into quite an exciting bit to start with. You know, it was mad. I remember watching Nads firing the 51 direct off a tree. That was mad.
Yeah, off a tree. I
remember we got cut off slightly from the platoon, so we were further down the Wadi. And Tom Mason, I was point man. Tom Mason said, right, we're going to get up, and we're literally all going to get up at the same time and leg it. And I didn't really hear that. I just heard him say, leg it. So I jumped up out the Wadi, sprinted across the top on my own, and I didn't realise I was getting dusted up behind me. Yeah, Mace turned around, and when he got back, he had a go at me because I didn't do what he said. Fair enough. And then after that, he went, but I think we're lucky we didn't get up. You know, but
Yeah.
it was James. Oh no, it weren't Mason. Said it was James Ursher. Do you remember Hersher? Julie. Yeah,
Yeah,
Julie was
yeah.
telling me not so long ago.
How could I forget? Can't forget old Hershey.
What a man! What a man!
Oh yeah,
But yeah,
unbelievable.
because he lives in Bedford, not far from me, and I've did some work with him a year or two ago, and that was the first time I heard that story was when he told me that. So yeah,
Was it?
yeah. But then that's where Sheps
Yeah,
has got all the videos as well, isn't it? When he got the shrapnel in his eye and all that.
yeah. So I could actually remember sort of stopping short before we sort of like got to
Mm.
that point, and then we sort of went round because obviously A company was sort of pushing them towards us from the other side, sort of like
Yeah,
bringing them in. So like, well, that's how we kind of knew that we were going to kind of bump into them. And they're all in the tree lines on one side, weren't they? So it was all like open ground on the right, and the tanks were kind of in the
yeah,
middle of it all. And the Vikings sort of giving it big
yeah.
licks. And but I can remember even Sarge just looking at me, just laughing his head off when they started shooting at us.
Oh, what a man he was as well, though. Yeah,
Yeah,
definitely,
yeah,
definitely.
he was brilliant,
Yeah,
Sarge.
yeah. He's I don't know what he does now. I've got him on Facebook, but he's got dogs and hawks.
Yeah, he's got his dogs. I think they're like
Yeah,
hounds, aren't they?
hunting dogs.
Hunting dogs.
It's just, I don't know if he's got a house or anything. He just looks like he lives up there in the wild, living off the land.
I keep, you know, the funny thing was with Keith Neves is sort of like he lived for that tour, that those
Yeah,
moments. Like, you know, he even told me like he'd waited so long, like he trained his entire army career, and I can sort of remember coming off as we know it as like the bridge too
yeah.
far
Oh
scenario.
yeah.
And I can remember sort of like I was deaf as I couldn't eat nothing for that whole day. And I can just remember sort of coming up to me and just being like, this was like after we'd all like piled in the
Yeah.
Vikings, like squished in the corners, got out of the sort of killing zone, and then we all debussed in like a safe area. And he sort of come up to me after about 10 minutes. He went, oh,
He's but
fucking love
the
it.
thing is though, chicken. What you got to understand, and I sort of heard this a few times, is you've got people that spent their entire military career of 22 years and never fired a round in anger. You know, so
Yeah.
when Keith is sort of, I don't know, he'd probably been in I don't know how many years he'd been in at that point. But you could probably get
Quite
to a
long.
point in the infantry thinking, I'm never going to see an active firefight. But
No,
he's one of them
definitely not.
old school people as well, where they were made for it, weren't they? You know, some of the things
Yeah.
he used to say to us before we deployed, like you'd be packing an MFO box, and he'd go, "I wouldn't bother, you're not coming back." You know, like, oh, cheers, Sarge.
Yeah, you loved all
If
that kind of
anything
stuff.
happens to me, burn my laptop before my wife gets it.
So, yeah, you used to say that, didn't you? I actually believe that the contacting on silicon, so the firing as such, basically lasted sort of like on and off for like 15 hours,
Mm.
which is long. And then I think when we sort of come to the end of it, we were all absolutely knackered.
Yeah,
I can remember being so tired, and we sort of lied up and we set up a stag position that night,
yeah,
didn't we? Do you
yeah,
remember? We sort of like had to overwatch sort of where the
yeah.
dead
Because the
was.
next day they wanted us to go and dig graves for them, didn't they?
Well, I don't even think. I don't think we actually did. I don't think we dug the graves. I think we actually just. I think that we got tasked just to move them into
An area.
like one
I'll tell you,
area.
I'll never forget walking past George Seal Coon, 7 Platoon boss, and he was on his radio, and right
Yeah,
next to him was just half a man, just the bottom
yeah,
half of a man. And I was like,
yeah. That's
wow,
what I mean.
that's like he'd been cut in half by something. I don't know whether it was more than likely
Yeah,
riding off the Apache, but
Oh, it was crazy. I think actually, one thing I can actually remember about actually moving the bodies was
Smell.
just that
Yeah.
smell. Yeah. The smell was so intense, and literally pretty much all of us were just like
Yeah.
gagging as such, like trying to obviously move these
It's
dead
it's
dead
difficult to
bodies.
explain that smell as well, though, isn't it? It's not like a raw meat or anything. It's a burn. It's weird, isn't it?
It's one of the
Yeah.
worst. Yeah, yeah, it's one of the worst
Yeah.
to
No,
smell.
definitely,
Let's put it that
definitely.
way.
Uh,
I I can remember because obviously the Apache got involved in
yeah.
obsidian, which we didn't mention. If you don't know what Apache is, it's like an attack helicopter, and if that's firing at you, it's
Yeah.
game over.
Yeah.
And one of the things we had to move was where the Apache had hit a guy, and he must have sort of been running, and the Apache rounders just hit him. It must have hit him in the back or something, but he just like red mist across like a wall. Like I don't know if you can remember it,
The
like
old
a
pig
compound
mist.
wall. Yeah, and we had to like spade his arse cheeks up on it. We had to spade his arse cheeks up because we couldn't just leave him there.
Just putting him in a bag. Just putting him in a take in a doggy bag.
So visual. Yeah, I mean, I laugh about it, but it's terrible, mate. It always sticks with me.
No, it's one of them things, isn't it? You can't.
Bob Silicon was
It's like
crazy.
burning meat, but it's not. It's different, isn't it? It's I don't know. I don't know.
Yeah, it really sticks with you. Like I always say to people, though, the bonus we got out of that, we got extra
Yeah, not as
pay.
much as they were getting like 10 years later. We were like the first ones to get that. I think I spent that on Transformers toys.
God's sake.
Yeah, man. Came home an R and spent about £1,000 on Transformers toys. Yeah, just
Did you
sat in
really?
I remember I was pissed up one day in my dad's house, like trying to transform them naked on his living room floor. He was like, "What are you doing?" I was like, just wanted some Transformers."
Yeah, because I can remember her love the
Well, the
Transformers
first
as
film
well.
came out while we was over there, I think, and I remember watching it on a bootleg copy. But yeah, me, Sheps, Hirsch, we was all mad for it. Yeah.
So we finished Obsilicon. I'm trying to think. The next operation we did was Op Coolang, wasn't it?
Oh,
I'm pretty sure it was. Which I think only lasted like two
if
or
I'm
3
honest with you,
days.
chicken, I couldn't tell you how many times I got up and went for a piss last night. My memory's terrible. I just,
Yeah, because I mean, Op Cooling was a really hard one. Not really a lot happened on that. Really, I think more A company may have sort of had more on that
yeah,
operation. I think there was something like I think we might have had like a few contacts for the first sort of few hours on the first day, and then we pushed them too far, and I think then they sort of like got pushed by
yeah.
an A company.
I'm just trying to think.
Come
Is
back
that the one where Mick Aston wanted us to do a river crossing, but obviously we didn't do it? I
I
just
think so,
remember seeing this river that was like
maybe. Yeah.
probably about a mile wide, and obviously you remember what Mad Mick was like. Fuck him. put him
Yeah,
in the herd locker.
yeah, I think it was because I think Missy Carla
Hmm.
was on the other side. I think that's where they got sort of
Yeah,
pushed towards. I don't know.
yeah, I'm sure that was. But yeah. So
Yeah,
there was that one. Yeah, I don't really think a lot happened on that, did it?
it didn't. No, I think there was actually contacts in the first few hours, and actually, I think actually Ross Kemp might have been caught up in that one actually, diving into the fields with
Yeah.
his camera.
Is that the one? Remember? Oh no, because we had to go back out and refilm it, didn't we? Because his cameraman got a poppy
Yeah.
stalk in his eye, apparently. So they went through the whole contact, and the cameraman hadn't filmed anything.
No, he weren't, mate. That's not. He was shouting there. No. He was shouting on the floor. Mate, do you know what? I felt sorry for
He
him, man.
pissed himself, didn't he?
We got weapons here. We fought. You know, what I mean, we're trained soldiers to teach back. We've got the weapons, and you got this cameraman
Out of all
who's
fairness,
just
they ain't
like
got no gats on them or nothing, are they? Fair play to them.
Nah. Geezer's got no idea. He's being shot at, so he's just on the floor
Yeah.
digging himself in.
It's like saying these guys ain't got weapons either. They've got nothing. So fair
Nah.
play to them. Honestly, that takes some balls, doesn't it? Going out there and being in the middle of that.
Oh, it did, mate. So they basically sort of
Mm.
refilmed it, and I
No.
can't blame them, to be honest. But I mean, they was told, obviously, get your head down, and we did tell them, like, because they wore blue
Yeah.
helmets, if you
When you're
remember.
sitting on top of a grate with a
So they
dust-coloured
stuck out.
compound and this little blue helmet pops up, you're gonna get pinged, ain't you?
Yeah. They stuck out like a sore thumb, mate.
Why are things seen? Let's take this brilliant army lesson and use it against ourselves.
Oh god! But I think they
Yeah.
had to. I think there was
Yeah, I
like
think it
rules
is.
behind it that they couldn't, because it was. I think it was just that it wasn't like a blue on blue
Yeah.
or anything like that.
Yeah.
It was like, oh, there's Ross Kemp. You see him from a mile away, with his blue
Big
helmet.
moonhead helmet. Oh dear. I don't know.
To Nowzad, and we sort of got dropped off in Fob Fox.
Now, Fob Fox wasn't actually anything, was it? It was just a hill.
It was just a hill, mate. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, I remember that. I remember that also being the only time when it was out there that it rained.
Yeah, it did, didn't it?
And
Yeah, it did.
we got a poncho out and tried showering in the rain, and it stopped within about 3 minutes.
Yeah, because I think it was actually Sergeant Major Self that was actually running that hill. I swear.
Yeah, I think you're right.
Yeah,
There was indirect fire, wasn't there? And didn't like some Danes get injured or something?
Yeah,
Not while we would. I think maybe while we was out on the op or just before or something.
yeah. I think we sort of there, and we got a briefing that in the morning we're gonna go down there, because I mean we were literally on that hill, weren't we? And you go down that sort of massive hill, and you just miles, not it's just pure green zone just in front of you.
Yeah, it was clear as well, clear as anything. You might as well have put big fucking fluorescent signs up.
Yeah,
You are now stepping into the green zone.
yeah. It was clear, wasn't it? In actual fact, it was in a way from the top of the hill, it was quite beautiful. Just sort of like looking out to the green.
I suppose it was even if you knew what was down there, what was waiting for you. I suppose it still had this sort of lore to it, didn't it?
Yeah.
But Fox. So yeah, I remember because I remember before we actually went on that op, we did like a 10K patrol or something.
Yeah.
I remember that one. But then it
Yeah.
turns out when we got there, it was 10K out and 10K back.
Yeah.
Yeah.
usual.
That's not like I said earlier. That's not the first time we've been lied to by the army.
No. Not at all. Not at all. So we took a briefing, and then we were sort of told in the morning we're going to go down into a green zone, and we're gonna push towards the Taliban, and they basically wanted to push them out. That was us and A Company, I believe.
Yes, I think it was.
So we sort of got up early, and we went down there, and
it was quite a quiet morning. I mean, like this is quite a prominent one to me. I mean, I had some issues on this operation, and so it's quite a problem to me. But as I remember it, it was a quiet morning.
Yeah, it was.
Wasn't it? I don't think there was any firefights or anything. Nothing crazy, nothing mad.
No, it was very quiet.
And then, like I say, I remember the contact because we were sat in a wadi. And for those that don't know what a wadi is, it's basically a dried out stream or riverbed or anything along them sorts of lines. But so we sat in one of them. We all had our helmets off. We're all smoking ash. You know what I mean? It's like nothing, just because of the way the morning had been. Thought nothing of it. Right, one section, prepare to move. Helmets back on. Slowly drag yourself up as you do with all that kit on. And then I just remember we stepped out into the field in front of us. Now, I wouldn't say it was a big field. not like compared to the sizes of some of them, but obviously trees running up the left, the right, and to the front of it. Irrigation ditches around the sides. And so we probably got just over halfway up there. Don't, I was, no, I was second man. I was second man. Alan Shepherd.
Yeah.
I was either second or third. I might have been third behind Mason Sheps.
Yeah.
No, I was second just behind Sheps. So we get contacted from the front, 12 o'clock.
Yeah.
Okay, that's nothing new. You know, we've found out, start putting down fire. And then we get contact from 3 o'clock and 9 o'clock and 7 o'clock and 11 and 2 and 4 and everywhere.
Yeah.
When we were literally sat, the sort of the bit that hits me is literally 10, 15 meters before I was sat there without a helmet on. You know,
Yeah.
we all were. If they didn't want it, obviously that's their way of doing it, is ambushing. But if they had a fucking brain cell that weren't baked by opium, they'd have just put one through everyone's head, wouldn't they?
Well, you got to remember, mate. You know what I mean. Although they can fire the weapons, they're not.
No,
You know, they
they're
try.
not trained.
They try their best.
Like I say, they're just smacked off the tits all the time, aren't they?
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah.
But yeah, so this tick opened up, and like I say, we're getting hammered from all sides. I froze. I had my head pinned to the ground. I didn't have my mini me up or anything. But because I wasn't putting down fire, Sheps couldn't get back,
Yeah.
basically. So it happened that I think Tom Mason and either Sid McKendrick or Hersher, but two of them had to come up and form a baseline in front of me and around me so that they could actually bring Sheps back.
Yeah.
You know, but what had got me is I put my head to the floor when the contact was going on, and I don't know, probably not even 5 inches from my face, a round had hit a stone or a rock. You know, I see it spark where it hit it. You know what I mean? It was,
Yeah.
you know, it wasn't just life flashing before your eyes. It was like my life's over. And I just froze as if it was.
Yeah.
And then like I say, obviously Mason that they got past me, and then they managed to extract Sheps back and then get me back and whatever. So, but I end up by getting taken off the ground for battle shock with that.
I can remember the contact really well. I can actually remember it better than most for obvious reasons. And I can remember that some of the Taliban shooting at us were probably about 15 meters away.
Yeah.
And I can just I still to this day I just don't understand how none of us were hit. Because, like you said, it was like such an ambush from all different positions, so close to us, and they keep missing us.
Yeah, and incredibly fortunate. Incredibly.
I mean, I went on the best way to describe it, and this was because in my mind now it plays like almost in slow motion, but at the time, obviously, it happened really, really fast. But I can just remember poppy heads exploding.
Yeah.
You know, like the heads of like a poppy were exploding around us. You know, and where the rounds were sort of hitting the dirt in front of us, you know, like I could see them coming towards us.
Yeah.
Sort of, I can remember jumping out the way and sort of like into a brow, and then the RPG flew just past us. I could feel the wind off it.
It's just madness. You can't explain to anybody.
Yeah.
You can't. There is nothing. I caught up with a couple of friends last night, and we sort of got talking about this because obviously the podcast was coming up. So we had a few things, and I find myself you have to stop explaining because there is no words that you can use to justify or do it justice. What you feel and what you go through when this happens.
Yeah.
It's madness, and but with the battle shock thing, we've been in countless contacts before that, haven't we? You know, fighting for days, and you know, so it's not like it was the first, but that was genuinely. They must have got their guns from like the carnival down the road. You know what I mean? You know, you try and shoot the cork, and it's never on target, is it?
Well, I think you're right. You know, they had us.
It's either that or they're fucking stormtroopers.
Yeah, no, but tactically they had us in the position that we
Yeah,
would have, was our worst nightmare.
yeah,
And eventually, obviously, because they didn't hit us, we got the guns going, we got the weapons going, and we managed to sort of extract out of that position. And then I think they run into 6th soon.
yeah. Because I remember because we were two up, weren't we, going across that field now? Yeah, I
We were
remember.
2 up, and obviously, because I can remember actually, sort of as the contact kicked off, it was either like, do I fan out? Because obviously, I had Humperdinck and Keno in front of me at the
Mm,
time, and I can remember seeing the rounds popping around.
yeah,
But we're talking split seconds. I can remember the rounds popping around Humperdinck's ankles.
yeah,
And thinking, my God. And I can remember moving to the left, and they were just flying past me. And we managed to get the GPM gym going. Lizzie had the gun, managed to get get the gun going, managed to get my head up eventually. Like, I mean,
yeah.
I had dirt like just hitting my face, like you said.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? If you put your head up, you're gonna get hit.
That
It's like you said, it's a horrific feeling.
and I think that was it. I think not obviously you got the fight or flight type thing off, but I there was nothing in me, mate. I couldn't even bring myself. It felt as if if I was to lift my head up, I'd be lifting my head up to look at my killer, sort of thing. And
Yeah,
that's and I thought that if I keep my head down, nothing can happen to me. But on the other
yeah,
side of it, and probably what's affected me quite a bit out of this is the regret I have of this is I could have fucking cost someone their life because I can react as a soldier at that point,
yeah,
and that is probably the worst thing. Forget how the rest of it makes me feel or anything like that. I think the worst thing that I feel is that because I couldn't act as a soldier, I could have possibly cost people lives that day.
yeah. Well, you know what, mate. Well, I'll tell you what. I'll say to you is that the thing is, we're talking, split seconds,
Mm,
split seconds. And the thing is, you never actually, like you said, you'd been in contacts before that. You was in loads more contacts after that, and that never happened. Do you know what I mean?
yeah,
But you never know, sort of like how your body's going to react. And I'd go as far as saying, when that round hit near your face,
mm,
your body, your mind is telling you you need to stay down for a bit longer
yeah.
because you're going to get shot.
Fuck this.
It's just survival instincts,
Yeah.
you know.
But the thing is, as well,
And
you're saying there split seconds. So to me, what probably felt like half an hour probably was
exactly,
gone in no
yeah.
time. And like I say, if it weren't for the way that people fought, and we know what Mace was like as a soldier and a commander sort of thing, that's
Yeah,
the fact that someone is switched on that they can then make up for what's happening there and then. If everybody was to do
yeah,
that, I don't think any of us would have got out of the field that day.
yeah. But this is the thing is, we train so many times for ambushes and God knows where else. But like you said, you can't plan on sometimes on what your body's going to do. I mean, in the army and you're in the infantry, you train to, like, as soon as something happens, like
Yeah,
instant
the
fire back.
actions.
But actually, never works like that, really. Unless I'd say you're sort of going into a building and there's enemy in there, you're quick,
Yeah,
But actually, sprung ambush, it is a split second. It's a split second that your brain says you're being shot at. The enemy's there, shoot back.
yeah,
And I can remember I was in that position, and I was thought I'm flipping that I couldn't get my head up for them first few seconds. You know what I mean? I knew I couldn't. So I'm going to say to you, mate, honestly, I know that you feel that, but you shouldn't. You shouldn't. And you know what? The section behind us, they knew exactly what was going on.
yeah,
3 section, 6 platoon, and even Sarge Keith Neves, he knows, that we were caught out there,
yeah,
and we got away with it, and we got them, and it all worked out fine.
yeah. Exactly. So, but yeah, no, that's quite. That's probably one of my biggest things with that for myself, anyway. But I think I was taken off the ground. They weren't sure
Yeah,
whether I should come back, and I did. You're not going to leave everybody there, are you? So it's, I think I was off the
yeah,
ground for a day and a half, maybe 2 days, and then I got back out.
yeah. And you know that attack sits with me, mate. I remember that attack so well as well. You know, and you wasn't the only, you know, and you wasn't the only one who had battle shock during that, because there was actually and Humpeltink, I'm sure, you know, even he'd say to you, because I can actually remember the boss asking us all to check ourselves down.
Yeah, I
in our
remember,
section.
actually.
Chicken, if you checked yourself down, yeah, I've checked myself down, you know, blah blah. As Humperdinck and Humperdinck was sort of ignoring the boss, he weren't really listening. So he's like, you know,
That was
Humperdinck, you're
Humphreys
right.
anyway.
Yeah, exactly. So I was like, Humperdinck, you need to check yourself down, yeah. I mean, he's not even looking at us. So I'm like, I don't think he's all right. So it's sort of like give him a little slap round the face, and he's still not even moved, mate. You know, so obviously. I mean, I can actually now when I look back at it, I can actually understand why he had battle shock. I mean, you know,
Do
he's
you know
been
what,
straight from 10
Chicken?
years.
I've got to be honest with you, and this is a good thing about this, because I don't think I've genuinely had a chat about that situation with someone there who
Yeah,
understands it. I've brought it up with say doctors or whatever when I've had to see them, and you know, I might
yeah,
have spun the dit a couple of times, but genuinely now that speaking to someone properly about it like that has just
yeah,
actually made me see a lot more in it. Because I remember you saying that about Humphreys. I remember that. I remember the boss telling
yeah,
you to check down. I remember Tom Cox being forced blocks of sugar. You know, it wasn't just me affected that day, but I don't know. I think I took it on and felt I could have been responsible for a lot worse happening if my actions were that way. So, but no, this
yeah,
is a good. This it's just no. It's good to sort of. It's also good because I don't know, because I think I've got to a point where I feel like I've made the situation up. You
yeah,
know, it was so long ago, and for the fact that it still plays on my mind, 13 years, I've got to a point
yeah.
with it. Like, did it actually happen, or am I just making it up? Yeah.
Oh, it definitely
No,
happened that concept, mate.
it did. I know, I
I'll
know.
tell you that, mate. I can actually, do you know, like how bad that situation was?
Mm,
Because I can remember actually sort of pushing around, and we found all their weapons, and
yeah,
they tried to go across open ground. I think they got closed off by 6th Platoon. They died, and I can remember we pushed through them from where
yeah,
they was, and I can actually remember seeing some of the dead bodies, and I'm not proud of it. I'm not proud of it, and I
no,
sort of kicked one of them in anger, because you know, during that attack, man, you know what I mean? I was seeing my life flash
yeah.
before my eyes, mate. You know what I mean? I'm not gonna lie, man. It was a shocking
It's mad though, man.
attack,
Like we
mate.
say, we've been in countless firefights before. You know, when again, it's another thing when you tell people that this is what they don't understand the the pure amount of firefights we was actually involved in. You know,
It was ridiculous. If it wasn't for adrenaline, we would have never done
no,
it.
no.
We'd never got through
But
it. You
it's
know,
yeah, man. But I mean, like I say, that one, yeah, that was a bad one. That was a bad one. But
it
then,
was the worst one, and the reason why I always say that is because it was just so close to
yeah,
us,
I didn't realise how close
and
they were until you said that's how close they were.
they were, mate, it was so close. Yeah, I mean, you're talking like the barrels were on top of the wall,
Yeah.
and that wall was so close to us. And then, you know, like you'll know, like
But
in the walls, there's all them little
others as
holes they
well.
stick their muzzles through.
Yeah, Christ, man, Christ. But I mean, like the Bridge Too Far was a good one, though, wasn't it?
Yeah,
It
so
was,
obviously, bridge too far.
that was us in the graveyard, wasn't it?
I think it was actually before. It might have been before. The only reason I say that because I think Hill was on that,
It would have,
because actually I can
yes.
remember Sarge jumping on him. I can remember Keith Neves jumping on him, telling him to get the fuck down
Yeah, because I think,
because he was
oh,
just
yeah,
jumping around.
because we was in the graveyard and I had my mini me going, and then Keith told me to swap with Hersher, and I looked back and Hersher was just
Yeah,
fucking sat against the tombstone smoking a fag, and there was a hole, and I looked at Keith, I went, Sarge, I'm not sitting in a pre-dug grave He went, "You'll sit where I fucking tell you to. Now get over there."
That's harsh for you.
Oh.
Guys didn't give a
And
shit.
he just got up, like, when he walks on his toes, doesn't he? He just
Yeah,
bounced along to the front wall of the cemetery and just like fucking put the rounds down. But yeah, so
it
yeah,
was
that was a
fucking.
good one. That was a good one.
It, it was surreal. That was really surreal. That because I can remember us sort of walking along. So we're going towards that graveyard,
Yeah,
and then just this puff of smoke out of this bush, big puff of smoke, and then after the smoke, it was like the dum,
yeah.
and then this RPG just flies across, hits the fucking floor, and just
Bounced,
bounces
didn't
off
it?
miles away.
Because that
Didn't even
because
expect
that
it.
was seven platoon tried getting across the bridge, didn't they? Stu Parker, Josh Lee, and I
Yeah.
remember someone shouting from the graveyard, "Where's the enemy?" And John Frumble just went, "They're in the trees, man!" And then everyone
Yeah.
just started lacing the trees. But
Oh, it's fucking insane, man, insane. I'll tell you what, actually, I can remember about Gartsy Garn. I don't know if you can sort of remember, is we'd done so much mileage and so many contacts during that. I think it was like 3-4
yeah,
days. Just like I'm talking like you said. We'd do a contact for like 2-3 hours. We'd break into the compound, and then they'd all be pretending that they never had any guns, and there's no Taliban in here. And you're like, I swear this guy was actually just shooting at us for 2 hours.
just one
Yeah,
bot.
and then we'd leave there, move on, press on, and then we'd get in another contact. And the problem was, I think it was like after the second day that we'd wore our kit for that long. We was getting burns on the sides of our sides from the
Oh, from the web
webbing
and that, yeah.
and the day sacks. So we had to like tape all our sides out. Can you remember?
Using sniper tape or whatever it was.
Yeah, we taped our sides out because they were burning up from wearing the kit and the sweat. It was fucking. I can remember the pain. Like it was just
I
fucking
remember
unreal,
used to
mate.
get it along my back. Where was it? Across my arse cheeks because my
Yeah.
webbing was like from the sweat. It was rigid. You could knock a child out with it if you used to hit him with it. You know what I mean? It was solid. You know, it's
Yeah.
but yeah. So because it was like that, it just used to cut the top of my arse cheeks all the time when I was running around.
Didn't you wear them like the little black shorts? You know
Oh,
what I mean? Like
the
the little light
10 day
ones.
pants. Get a pair of army issued cycling shorts. That'll sort everything out. You'll be a happy soldier.
Another thing I can actually remember at the end of that operation is God, I can't remember. Like, I think we were trying to secure a position, and unfortunately, six platoon had been hit a few times, and they sort of got some other guys in, and we got like a resupply. And I can remember getting really lucky and getting like a fresh, clean pair of socks, and it felt fucking
Oh, you're
amazing.
lucky. I
I
think
could
I
just
got two
remember.
fucking 51 HE.
Yeah. I could just remember, but I thought it's just one thing that always sticks in my head, pulling them socks on and being like, oh, fuck.
Because
You know?
I'm sure on that one, we were told we was only going to be out on the ground for 5 days.
Yeah, and I think it
Because
was about
because
5 days because what you're
this is
saying.
also this is when we got back off of that. Was it that when George Davey?
No, I think actually we actually had to stay sort of there for about, I don't know if it was like 2 or 3 weeks. We sort of stayed there and had to keep patrolling into that sort of green zone area, which I think actually became Inkerman.
Yeah.
Slightly after that. But yeah, we actually lived next to a graveyard, and the Vikings, the vehicles, for like, and the RSM turned up. They went, you're going to go back to Bastion soon. Nice, clean showers, fresh scoff. In the next couple of days, week goes by.
You've only got a couple of pairs of socks on you.
You know, I mean, I'm talking, using baby wipes for 2.5 weeks, like, sweet,
Do,
Yeah, that was
do,
quite
do you remember?
difficult.
Do you
I
remember
can
Fob
remember.
Fox when the American Special Forces were there with it? They were there as well, and they had
Yeah, I
ISO
do. I can
containers.
remember.
Sheps and that went on a Black Ops mission to rob the American Special Forces of Gatorade. Yeah, and they come. I can't remember what they come back with the set. They come back with something in a box first of all. They went, "Oh, we ain't got it." So they went back again, and in the morning, these
Yeah,
SF guys with their dogs came over, started screwing at us, and Snowy started barking at the dog.
yeah.
The Americans were
I,
the
I,
Americans
can,
are weird, weren't they?
I can't remember.
They were weird. They didn't like
Yeah,
nudity.
mate.
I remember, obviously, you
No,
remember the shit
no.
houses in Fob Fox? It was just an open sort of Hesco thing, wasn't it? You just sat on it and hung
Yeah, I
over.
can remember him.
But I
Yeah,
remember I went out and these Yanks were there. They're going, "No, I'm not going for a shit, but there's someone else in there." So I just took everything off. Just took everything off and walked round, and they just went, "Oh, you fucking faggot!" All right, morning, guys. Hersher was the worst for walking around naked, wasn't he?
yeah,
Terrible,
he was,
terrible.
mate.
What a disgusting human being.
Yeah, he was
Love him,
terrible
love
for
him.
it, wasn't
But yeah,
he?
but yeah, Fob Fox was also where George Davies shot himself, wasn't it?
That was actually insane, actually. Yeah, so we got on the 611 and then went down to Sangin, didn't we?
I'm sure we was in another. I'm sure. I can't know. To tell you what, because I was back at Bastion when it happened, because I was flying back home for R&R. That's it.
That's
Yeah.
right,
So
yeah.
I no, sorry, I left from Fob Fox.
Yeah, you left from
Yeah.
Fob Fox and then we went in. We didn't spend long there. We didn't spend long in Sangin.
No, because that's when you all got to go swimming and that,
We
wasn't
were,
it? First time.
yeah, yeah, yeah. I don't know if it was a week. Might have been a
Yeah, because I
week.
remember because I left Fob Fox for R&R. Yeah, because then but well, so wherever you were, that's when George died. Because I remember we was all waiting to move from Bastion to thingy,
Yeah,
and we obviously heard the news, and the Razman, blah, 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 what's it? It's not Major Robinson, was it? He was a scary
yes,
man. But yeah, he came in and had to break the news to us all. So
yeah, yeah. It was a really horrific. It was a bad day. It was a bad day for myself, and it was a bad day for the lads,
yeah,
obviously. It's always hard for me to talk about this bit because I mean it's probably my worst part of the tour,
yeah,
really, because I was sat next to him when it
yeah,
sort of happened, so it's always like hard for me to talk about. But
yeah. No, I get that.
I can just remember we went out. Yeah, I can remember we went out on patrol, and we sort of like we were knackered because we'd been doing them like consistently for a couple of days. And I can remember we sort of sat down, took our boots off, cleaning our weapons. Nothing out of the ordinary, to be honest. Do you know what I mean? Just the normal stuff, really.
Yeah,
And sort of like started taking our weapons apart, cleaning the weapons. I can remember him actually just saying to me, sort of like, "Oh, can I use your brush?" That was sort of the last thing he kind of said to me, really. And I gave him the brush. And then just bang. And the thing that always sticks with me is the sort of carbon sort of hits me as
yeah,
well from the round. And the part that sticks with me the most, though, is that sort of like when that sort of happened and he sort of stood up and, realised he shot himself. And I've sort of stood up, obviously, in complete shock because I've just been hit in the face with carbon, the sound. I'm thinking, what's going on? And I just
yeah,
froze. I just completely froze. Like you're saying about earlier when you froze and you couldn't react. I mean, I'm just staring at him. He's staring at me. I'm looking down at him. I'm looking back at his face. And it felt like a
yeah,
lifetime. But it wasn't. It was only a couple of seconds. And I can just remember just not being able to
yeah,
move. I was just like, my brain was like not being able to function. What's just happened? What's going on here? And I'm trying to think, he shot himself. Has he shot himself? No, he couldn't have shot himself. He shot himself.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? All that's going from my head so quickly. And I can remember one of the Grenadier guards, a really tall one. Can't remember his
No, I
name.
can't remember any of those.
He just elbowed me straight out
Yeah.
of the way. You know, field dressing straight round him.
Because the
And then,
thing about that from my side, like when we were at Bastion, you know what's happening. Everything shuts down. Ambulances are flying to the landing zone and all that. And obviously, because it's one of ours, our camp, or the Viking camp there, just erupted. So we've gone fuck, basically. And yeah. Bad day. Bad day.
It was. Yeah, and we all miss him dearly.
So
we went from Sangin, and then I think, and then we ended up going to Kajaki. I think not
I
after
think that was our reward, wasn't it, for everything? That was what a place. An old,
we went to
like so
Kajaki.
Kajaki, basically. So for people listening again, it's like one of the main aims of the operation over there was to install a new generator in this big dam to provide electricity and power to. I think it was going to provide power to like majority of Helmand Province, wasn't it, or something? So Helmand Province has got like one tarmac road, just the one, the 616 or whatever it's called, and that led up to there. So eventually they were looking to sort of road move a generator in there, the big turbine or whatever. So Kajaki was an important stronghold, really. It was an old Russian army officers camp, wasn't it?
Yeah, it was mad, man. It was proper crazy.
We had proper buildings, also, proper rooms, proper showers, and the bonus of the big dam to go and swim in after you've been on that.
Yeah, man. I always remember sort of like going up a mountain and just as soon as you get up there, and the first time you go up that mountain, it's an absolute
because they take. What's the first one you go up? Is that Sparrowhawk? No.
Oh, no, I'll tell you what, you do well to remember them because my mind. I bet Rob
Right.
Arnold would know the names of them, actually.
you had East.
I bet he would.
Sparrowhawk East, West.
Yeah, that's it.
The one in the middle.
Yeah.
Can't remember what that was. That wasn't used, was it? There was just showers there.
Yeah, showers there. Yeah.
And then you had the first one that you come up, which was the one that's the one that always gets me.
Yeah, I honestly can't remember the name of it. It's just not coming to me. But I used to love running up and down that mountain, back and forth. Like after a couple of weeks of being up there, it's just amazing.
Tabbing across them or tabbing down from Sparrowhawk, because that took you onto the back gate of the camp, didn't it? So you was Overwatch basically over the Afghan vehicle checkpoint and all that, weren't you? But there was a sort of no one ever wanted to do it because it was a monster. It was an absolute lick out, wasn't it, going up and down that? That was like practically vertical, but it was the quickest way.
Yeah, it was. Yeah. No, and the thing is once you got up to the mountain, the view was just incredible all way.
Yeah,
round.
so I mean, like, we talk about the green zone and that, and when you're up there, that's what it is. It's like you can see. So the green zone is basically a belt of green trees and stuff along a river or something like that, and it's it's the only green bit or bit with life in the area. But like you say, but when you're on that mountain, you're overlooking the dam as well, and all that. That's it's incredible, isn't it?
Yeah, the dam, because you'd have the dam and you'd have like all the water, and then you'd it's really weird. Like you almost have like, like when you see in films and you got like deserts and they're like piles of sand.
Yeah.
You'd have that, and then go back to green zone, like all the way around, wouldn't it? And then you got the camp. Like it was just like quite surreal because I think actually there's obviously books and
there's
films,
a film about this. Have you seen the film on Netflix called Kajaki?
Yeah, right. Because
we were the tour, not the tour after, because it was the Marines before us, wasn't it? And then the Paras before them. But it was that Para tour before that where they went down through these mountains, and there was still mines left there from the Russians. And I think someone's going by the film. One of the guys stepped on it, and when the helo came in to Kazivac him, the downforce from the blades set off more mines or something, didn't it? Or something along
something like that. But you could see what it. But the crazy thing was, we could still see quite the kit down there. You could still see it down there.
So yeah, it's just incredible though. It's just surreal. Just so surreal.
Yeah,
but Kajaki was good because you knew exactly, like we said earlier on, about knowing about where the flat was and where things were. So each compound in the Kajaki area or district was numbered, wasn't it? So, and we always knew that if you was going south, you knew the enemy was going to be in compound 252. You know.
Yeah.
Because I think that's the one where I think that's the one where Scotty Corder trod on the pressure plate. Yeah.
Yes, he did.
I think that's actually the compound number as well. I think I'm not sure. But not far off. But yeah. So, but that's what it was. That's what Kajaki was. You know, you knew where you was going to get contacted. You knew what you were doing. You know, you knew it was going to be a lick out coming back through the Wadi when you're up north.
Yeah, well, you get up at like 2 in the morning and get your kit on, and then you go out and it was like 2-3K or whatever, and then you sort of lie up and wait for the sun to come up, wouldn't you? And then you just have it off for a couple of hours. When I say have it off, you start like having a massive contact, like you said, with the compounds where we knew there was, and we'd see the dickers first usually, and we knew it was sort of coming. And then after we'd done that, we'd sort of like we'd get out there, quick time, run all the way back, like 2K.
It was the hill. It was the hill to get back into camp. After doing all of that.
Yeah, it was an absolute. Oh man, I can just remember. I remember getting bad stitches as well, like proper bad stitches.
The thing is you got to think. That kit was heavy enough. All right, but when you're running through a dried up riverbed that's like it's just sand in it, and you're trying to you've got that weight throwing you everywhere. Oh mate.
Yeah, so when we went up the mountain, we would sort of overwatch the positions, wouldn't we? Not the positions, sorry. We'd overwatch the patrols going out from the main camp, sort of like we said earlier, going out early and pushing the flare. Actually, I can remember them going, "Who wants to go up the mountain?" And pretty much our whole platoon going, "Me," because we were so knackered from doing those patrols. At such early times of morning that they were real tough, man.
But sitting up in the mountains was such a it's just a bonus, wasn't it?
It was, mate. Yeah, it was
just a bonus. Like just the way of life up there. It was easy. You'd sort of take yourself off for a little run across a mountain or whatever, and you'd sit there having a good scoff up and whatever. Yeah. But yeah, no, that's what they were there for. Yeah, so we had would have been a 50 cal mounted, didn't we? Yeah. In one of the thingers, a couple of jimpies, mortars and that. But yeah, no, it was good because then the next one over that we didn't go up to was where Javelin and all that lot were, wasn't it?
Yeah, they had a higher one, didn't they? Well, just a little bit further down, weren't they?
Yeah.
Yeah. Obviously, there's a bit of dark history in Kajaki why we was there on that mountain.
Yeah, there was, wasn't there? So that's on the 23rd of August.
Yeah,
we had an incident. You was up on the mountain with me, weren't you?
I was. I was literally right near the radio.
Yeah, and while the rest of the company were down there on patrol and whatever, I was involved in the contact, and they called in fast air from the Americans, and they had an issue with. Well, I think it all came out of the inquest that there was an issue with the fin guidance system on the missile, and it landed on the compound with our guys in, with seven platoon guys in.
Yeah.
Obviously, Rob Foster, John Frumble, Aaron McClure, bless them all. Those three guys died. Josh Lee, Stu Parker survived. Obviously, with whatever injuries they've got, as you can imagine, they weren't. They could have gone either way. So,
Yeah.
I mean, what sticks with that is Josh lives down the road from me at home. When we joined and that, we clicked, and we was driving home together every weekend and back, and we was out in town around here, and
Yeah.
so we were quite close, good friends. And I mean, what sticks for me as well is when because my dad drove us both down to camp like before we deployed, so his mum dropped him off at mine, and she'd said to me like, don't let anything happen to him, but you don't expect it to. I don't think none of us expected, definitely not under that like circumstance,
No.
you know. Um,
It wasn't a horrific day.
mm.
It really was.
Well, I mean, and obviously with all the follow on from it as well, with like what happened with Fozzie and that, it's
Yeah, and they're all such great lads and good soldiers, and
yeah,
I can remember remember I was sort of trying to mention it the other day. I think it might have been Rob on the radio in the
mm,
sang time, sort of the one facing out, sort of I think it was north,
mm,
and he was just like chicken, like something's going on down there. I think bombs landed in the wrong area, and I'm like, whatever, mate, what are you going on about?
yeah.
Because you don't, you think that's just impossible, what I
Take it
mean?
for granted, didn't you?
Yeah. And he was like, no, mate, I'm telling you, like, you better go and get, like, the blokes and that, like, like, we need to stand by. We need to get on the guns here in case anything goes wrong, obviously.
Yeah,
And
yeah,
obviously, like, I mean, in a way, we were lucky that we were up there. That's how we always think about it. We were lucky
yeah.
that we were up there and not down there with all that confusion, because it
Well, that's
would
the
have been
thing.
so
I
horrible.
remember I remember like how my head was. I was like, wow, you know what I mean? So I don't know how I would have dealt with it down there, like the rest of them did. Fair play, fair play to everybody involved. You know,
Yeah,
it's
totally, man.
but I mean, like, when I think I might have been not long after I got out or before I got out. So where Josh is actually from, Kimbolton, there's a massive private school there basically, and he got invited to speak.
Yeah,
He knows the guy that was running the thing and blah blah blah. So there was Big Bird was there. Do you remember Captain Robinson?
yeah,
Yeah. So Big Bird was there. Josh was there. And then Josh said, "No, I can't do. Can you give me a hand? Because could you help me talk, sort of thing, to keep it going?"
yeah,
So, well, we're on stage and whatever, and we're spinning bits. We're laughing about like, the state of the food, and we're genuinely trying to keep it all upbeat and everything.
yeah,
And then they played a video of it. So it was a bit of helmet cam footage, and basically the bomb drops, and all you heard was someone go, "Fuck, that was close." And then the next thing you
yeah,
hear a voice, someone going, "Woody, is that your blokes in there?" And
yeah,
that's how close it was. You know what I mean? Someone was actually there, less than 30 meters from it, 20 meters from it, next compound over even. You know what I mean? And
yeah,
but the fact that someone went, "Whoa, fuck me, that was close," it had the whole audience that was there like pissed themselves. And sort of we didn't know what to say. And Josh just sort of stood there. Robbo was stood there. None of us were expecting this video to come on. And like,
yeah,
while everyone's laughing, I just had to turn around. I said, as funny as things may be, I said, what you don't actually realise now is that's the bomb that this band here took on the chin.
yeah,
You know what I mean? When it set, it just straight away. When I said that, it just hit everybody.
yeah.
And they was all like, "Whoa, Jesus," because it is a £500 bomb.
Yeah, man, and
Yeah.
obviously, we were near a couple of them, and I tell you, when them things drop, it's
savage, isn't it?
It's yeah, you can't really explain when them things drop near you, or when the big guns go off on the jets. You know, it's like,
Yeah,
oh,
yeah,
you
the
know, and you're
strafing
like,
runs.
Jesus. Yeah, man, and it's just it's crazy to watch, and but being near one, being involved in one, you know, like I said, I always sit there and I always think about them guys.
Mm. Yeah,
Um,
yeah. I'll always remember Fozzie, Rob Foster. You know how it's a running sort of joke through the army that officers can't map read.
yeah,
I remember our boss leading us round this village about 4 times, and George Silcoon led them round there. And I kept walking past Fozzie, and every time his face would just light up. You all right, mate?
yeah,
You all right, mate? You all right, mate? Yeah. Oh,
yeah,
dear.
yeah. He was a great bloke, man.
Yeah,
Great bloke.
and good soldiers as well. That's another thing,
Yeah, he was
you know. You know,
fantastic.
Troy was built for it. Frumble was made for it. You know, and Fozzie, bless him, he was a great guy. He was.
Yeah, they were all great guys, man. It really was.
Mm.
Um,
I actually went to Josh's in August. So what we
did
used to
you?
go out on the 23rd. We used to go and like have a few drinks, sort of thing, just to remember. Now
Yeah,
Josh and Stu have they have a party now at Josh's, and you know we make a, you know, they're still here at the end of the day. You know, we've got to celebrate that as well.
yeah, man.
So, but yeah, no. So I was around his the other week. He's good. He's doing well.
Nice. Man. No,
So,
that's great. Man.
mm,
So we we finished that tour in 2007. We came back. We had 6 weeks off. Um, what happened after that with your career? Did you sort of like that? You picked up a knee injury. Is that right?
yeah, I sort of had that before I went. I ended up in I like it's to do with the cartilage in my knee. So basically,
Yeah.
it's there, but it can just be painful. You know what I mean? So I ended up
Yeah.
in older shot on courses, having injections and all sorts into my knees. So that
Yeah.
sort of like ruined quite a bit, because I was fit back when I was before all that. I was always I loved it. You know what I mean? I wanted to be a PTI and all that sort of stuff, and so
Yeah.
that sort of killed that side of it. I obviously played the football and all that. Um, but yeah, so there was that, and then people started getting out, right,
Yeah.
from our group. You know what I mean? Your Shepsies, Coxey, you know, people like that
Mm.
that were a big part of sort of my life, because well, we was all in a room together for as long as I was there.
You had, they were your brotherhood, man.
Yeah, I mean, like Coxey. I mean, like if he's listening to this, you're a tosser, you are, boy. You need to talk to me. Grumpy old man. I ain't spoken to him for years. I miss the guy. I miss the guy. So, but
Yeah, good old Coxie, man.
he was a miserable old sod, wasn't he? He was brilliant
You
though.
got to have every, you got to have every character, mate. You
Yeah.
got to have every
The
character.
thing is, I get up at 6 o'clock in the morning. I go in, go to the toilet, go have a piss, and all I can smell is smoke. I'm like,
Yeah,
Coxie, yeah, right, yeah, all right, just check in. And he'd be sitting there every morning as on clockwork, mate. He was always there, having a shit and a fag at quarter to
oh yeah,
6 in the
mate.
morning.
Oh, without fail, mate. Without fail.
Oh, mate, what a man, what a man. But yeah, so like a mix of like these guys getting out. Like Coxie was my mentor as well when I joined. That's probably where the bond came with him. You know, he probably looked at me as like an annoying little brother. You know, always pissed, and you know what it was like.
Um,
But yeah, so there was a mix of
yeah,
like my knees, people getting out, and also I didn't like the way it changed. We'd gone from like calling the boss, you know, or well, we didn't. I named him Bossums, didn't I? And that fucking bit
it was hard. Awesome.
Bottoms. Me and Scotty Callers always right, Bossums. Oh no, do you remember when he got his first letter when we was in Afghan, and his initials were BJ Howe? I remember taking his mail to him, fucking ragging it, or pissing myself. He was great. He was Ben Al. He was a good man. He was a good man.
Yeah, he was a fantastic boss. Obviously, I had the pleasure of doing another tour with him actually on Rochantal up in Mushikala. So yeah, he was a great boss, mate.
Yeah, I don't think he should have been a boss. He should have been one of the blokes. He was good.
But that's what made him so good, though, man.
Yeah, but I think that's also what we all got so attached to each other and him and whatever. But when we come back to camp and you're getting screwed at for not throwing a salute up, or we just come back from war, man. We've been out shooting and getting shot at, killing people and stuff, and then we was expected to come back to camp and act as if we've just come out of depot. It was such a twist, such a change, and a sharp change as well. Because you think we went from Tim Newton as CSM to Jimmy Self, didn't we?
Yeah.
As well, and so we've and the OC changed while we was out there, from Mick Aston to Major Borney. So we had a lot of changes going on, and there was
a lot of changes. Yeah,
it was just really all so abrupt for me, and I think it sort of messed me up a little bit because I got set in my ways with how we were.
Yeah.
So, but I mean, there's that, and then obviously other problems with me, like in my head, and and there's so much going on, and it was just difficult for me to be around. So I made the decision to sort of call it a day on my army career.
So you left in 2009, right?
Yes, yeah. So basically, because of my knees, I got put into, it's called Jameson platoon. So it was a platoon for biffs, really, and but while I was in there, I think they sort of noticed a few other things. So, Sergeant Major Robinson, Razman, picked up his commission, Captain Robinson then, and he was the platoon commander for that. And he was a great man. He was a great man. He sort of picked up on a few things with me, and I ended up by going to the med centre and then to Aldershot to see CPN, psychiatric nurses, basically to see if I had PTSD. Which was a bit difficult at the time. It was a bit taboo because we'd just come back from that being the manliest of men, and everybody was still set like that, but I wasn't for some reason, and you could feel whether I distanced myself or whether people distanced themselves from me. I kind of felt quite isolated towards the end of my time in battalion. But saying that, when I was going to these doctors and that, they come back and they said that I didn't have PTSD because I wasn't having flashbacks. But everything else on the anxiety, depression, all of that stuff, that should have been a sort of screaming sign to them. It wasn't. It was, no, you haven't got all the things to say you have PTSD, so just off you go back to battalion.
So would you sort of say it's like sort of like everything that we kind of went through on that tour was just still sort of like, it was just still stuck with you, but you just was struggling to sort of move on from it.
Yeah,
like in your mind.
I felt it's difficult because everyone was still living off the buzz of it, weren't they? And we were, and for some reason, when I come back, I was a bit hollow. I didn't really feel it. I'd done it, and that was it. So I was drinking loads, chicken. I mean, I've always drunk a lot anyway, but I was drinking loads. I mean, like later, I mean, like I say, Captain Robinson got me out of battalion. I was in Cambridge recruiting office for a few months, and then when I came back, he said, "Look, you really don't want to be here, do you?" I said, "No." He went, "Look, I'll get you squared away. Get off. We'll give you an early leave, sort of thing." So, but that didn't help really because, like I've said to a few people over the years, is what I really, looking back at it, what I really needed was I needed that family to support me and try and help me through it. But I think I distanced myself and took myself away from having the opportunity for anybody to do that because I didn't feel like I was one of them anymore.
Yeah, and I think sort of like talking in my other three sort of episodes with Ken and Matt and Mark, it's sort of the issues sort of come about when you kind of do take yourself away from the guys that had the same sort of experiences along them lines, or just not even the same sort of experiences as such, but guys that you feel that you can lean on because they are like your brotherhood, like we've sort of mentioned. You know, when you take yourself away from them, like you said, it's really difficult. It is really difficult for everyone.
I think for a time,
that comes away
I resented the guys in the battalion and everything because I thought they haven't done anything, they haven't helped me. But then, as I've sort of grown a bit and I've learned to deal with my issues and things a bit better, I look back at it now and I go, I actually did that to myself, I think.
Yeah.
But it probably wasn't helped without anybody being sort of forthwith with me and sort of trying to put an arm around me. But we're men, aren't we? You don't do that. It's not, oh, he looks a bit down, I'm going to go and give him a cuddle and ask him if he's all right. It ain't a done thing, is it? You know, so I think you have to understand and accept what you're going through yourself to be able to understand what you expect of others.
Yeah, definitely. That's a good way of putting it, mate. You came out and you worked in a factory, right?
I've worked in about 50 factories, chicken.
The first job you sort of had after leaving the army, into Civvy Street, where you sort of worked in a factory. How did you get on there? Like, what was that like? Because you know, you'd been in Helmand Province in Afghanistan. You know, as we've already explained, sort of on this podcast, you know, having it off with the Taliban. The next minute, you know, it's not that long after you've kind of left the army, and now you find yourself in a factory. You know, like, how was that?
I'll tell you what. So, what have I been out 11 odd years now? I've major issues with trying to find what I want to do, work wise or anything like that. So, I mean, I've tried a couple of times to start businesses and things, and I've had ideas, and it's gone to shit because I can't control myself. You know, I'll take on. I'll say, for instance, I started a clothing thing. I was doing workwear and stuff. I'd take jobs on, fuck it up, then because of the way I am like nowadays, I'd hide and I wouldn't talk to people and sort out the issues and, you know, try and avoid everything. And it's the same with work. So whether it was from working for myself or working for someone else, if something went wrong or I'd avoid confrontation, you know. And so if I got drunk one night and didn't go to work the next day, which happened a lot, I'd just sack that job off and go and find another one. You know, so all of this is a sort of carry on from what these issues were. So my self-esteem, my everything about me, I didn't have no faith in myself. I was, like I say, I lost a lot of sort of anything for confidence. I hated and I still do to a point. I don't like confrontation. I don't like telling people if they're doing something wrong or anything. I think sit there thinking, oh, well, what are they going to say back? You know, it was never like that. It was never like that. And like I say, through going to war, you know, I wasn't scared of getting shot at or, you know, or shooting people and stuff. But yet now I avoid it at all costs. And that's played a big part on my work sort of life because, like I say, if I do something wrong, really, and I've done it, don't get me wrong, I do it every now and then. I'll have my hands up, put my hand up and go, right, I've done wrong there. So don't bother me. Let's work out what we're going to do about it. Whereas when I first got out, I would have just gone, I've fucked up, I'm off.
Would you sort of say that? I mean, obviously, you were quite young when you went on that tour.
Yeah.
So what, you joined when you were 17?
Yeah. I think I had my 19th birthday over there? Yeah.
Yeah. So you were only 19, 19. So, and then leaving 2009. So you're still only 21, right? So, I mean, would you say sort of like when you was in Afghanistan, you were so young, and you almost don't overcomplicate things in your mind. You don't overthink about things, and then as you sort of like grow up a little bit, or especially coming out into Civvy Street, I think you sort of like you think about
Yeah.
things
Do
more.
you
Do you
know
know
what?
what I
I
mean?
was young, and everything I did was what I was told to do. I didn't have to think for myself. Like with money, I'm,
Yeah,
I'm still bad with money. I'm terrible with money, chicken. 33 years old,
yeah,
and and I struggle to keep a grasp on what I'm doing with my money. But
yeah,
that's because everything was done for me at a young age. I didn't have to pay my accommodation or my food because it came out of my wages before I touched it. You know, all I had to
yeah,
do was buy fags and do whatever I wanted with my money. And then as I've got older, I've missed those key sort of fundamentals to growing up.
yeah,
And like I say, even with like my work ethic and things like that. I mean, like, it's changed. Don't get me wrong. I'm much better. I started a business up with someone actually at the end of July. And now that I'm working for myself
yeah,
and there's somebody else involved,
yeah,
it's got me going. I'm determined and I'm getting a lot back. But like I say, with my confidence and stuff like that, I would doubt myself if I was adding 2 to 2. You know, the answer's 4. I know it's 4, but I get my calculator out on my phone and double check it. So everything
yeah,
about me when I left, and probably for a good 7 or 8 years, was just shot to shit, which is
yeah,
weird. And I don't know whether that's because of everything else that was going on, with like the transition and the PTSD and stuff like that. So maybe that had an effect on everything
yeah,
as well. But yeah, difficult,
yeah,
difficult, very difficult time for me. Very difficult time for me leaving the army, and I still haven't fully adapted.
yeah. Working on it, mate. You keep
That's it.
working on
Yeah.
it. Um, you 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 told me that 2 years ago that you tried to commit
Yeah.
suicide. How did that come about? Did you just sort of
Through
like
basically like what I just said there.
have like a really bad year?
Um, I don't know. I was always up and down. I've done a lot. I've moved all over the country. I've lived in Wales. I've done this. I've done. I can't. I've been all over the place. Always thinking something's going to be better for me. Trying to find that the thing that is finally what I want or the good thing for me. So I'd had a few ups and downs. Lost a job or whatever, and lost a job, girlfriend, dog. All that sort of stuff. And
Yeah,
um, and then I think I started to start this clothing business up. Now I cocked up a couple of big jobs for people, friends as well, football clubs, friends, people that actually trusted me, and I fucked up
yeah,
and I went off and I don't know, my head was eating away at me gradually for 3, 4, 5 weeks. Um,
yeah,
and it got to a point I was out, I hadn't had a drink or anything, and I was walking around and I was like, I'm going to do it, I'm going to do it, I'm going to do it, basically. But I don't think I wanted to. Think
yeah,
because I stopped at a phone box, the phone 999, and I said,
yeah,
I'm a veteran. I've got PTSD. It's all been signed with doctors. Blah blah blah. I said, I need someone. I'm at risk. I'm going to kill myself. And the
yeah,
the operator said, oh, well, I can't get an ambulance or anybody out to you for about 3 hours. And
yeah,
right then, I kind of went, would it even matter if I did? So I wandered
yeah,
round. I wandered round the streets. I went and actually sat against the ambulance station to see if I was being lied to. I sat there hoping that someone would come out, and eventually I kind of went, "There's no one, no one's listening. No one. What's the point?" So I walked up to the train station,
yeah,
and I sort of sat on the edge of the platform, and it was the last train that was coming from uh, down south going to Peterborough. And my brother had
yeah,
not long had a daughter, and I kind of, as the lights, I could see the lights coming up, and this is where I say I don't think I genuinely wanted to do it, but something had got me to that point, and I
yeah,
sort of started thinking about my niece, and I was like, I don't want, a lot of people do like me, no matter if I fucked up or whatever like that. People have got good things to say about me. I don't want to be that uncle to my
Yeah.
niece that people are going, oh, you should have met your Uncle Dan, or oh, your Uncle Dan is. And I didn't want to be that. So I actually got on the train. And the next stop up is
Yeah.
Huntingdon, where Hinchinbrook Hospital is. I took myself into there.
Yeah.
I told them what I was going to do, and I ended up by getting bedded down for about 4 days, 5 days.
Yeah.
So yeah, that was, I don't know, but I mean, it's difficult because my dad didn't really take it seriously. I don't think he knows how to deal with it, if I'm honest. He doesn't. My dad's my best mate, and he doesn't know how to deal with any of the army things or anything like that. He avoids it. He's obviously dead chuffed, proud as anything. But when it gets to this sort of stuff,
Yeah.
he's an older man. He's in his 60s. This sort of stuff's still taboo at that sort of age group, that generation. So he'll play it off until I'm feeling good again. You know, he doesn't know how to deal with it. But he took me back to his. Like actually, a friend of mine come and pick me up because my dad had spoken to him, and my dad got me back to his. I moved back into his. Didn't work for about a month, 2 months. Just like sort of sat moped around the house. The NHS have got like a crisis team, and they came out and met me a couple of times, and then they was like, "Oh, you're all right now." So it's where I've got to now is, do you know what? No one's actually genuinely going to help you with any of this. You know, you can cry out. People say about
Yeah.
mental health and all this sort of stuff. You can cry out and ask for as much help as you want. Tell people exactly what you need to get you through anything like that. They are not going to give it to you. The only thing you can rely on is the people
Yeah.
around you and yourself, but mostly yourself. You know.
Yeah. Well, you know, mate. I'm. To be honest with you, when you told me about that, I
Mm.
was gutted, mate. To be honest, and I'll tell you what, and I'll say this, and not just Fly Platoon, but B Company in itself, but you know, especially our platoon. I think all the guys that listen to this and hear this, I think they'll all be gutted that we sort of weren't there for you. Obviously, I know that we've all got our own lives and that, but I'm going to sort of say this now, and I think they'll all agree with me. If you ever feel like that again, you know, I'm only a
Yeah.
phone call away, man. You know,
But,
because if you know, if that goes for any of the blokes in 5%, but like, if any of you guys ever feel like that, you know, give me a ring, give me a message, because we should all be here for each other in any of them situations, and you should. You know, you're right. You're saying that it does come down to yourself, and I agree with that in some ways. But sometimes you do need to speak to someone that has gone through certain same experiences as you.
yeah, definitely,
You know,
100%, 100%. But it's just it's one of those things. But then not many people. I don't even think many people actually know that in general about that I got to that point. I know a few people do, but
no,
yeah, it's one of them, mate. One of them.
and usually that's why these things kind of happen because you kept it all in, and now I'm asking you not to anymore. and let's be honest, you know. This whole idea of the podcast that we're on is so that you can actually express yourself on how you have been feeling, your experiences,
Yeah,
and
hopefully,
you know,
hopefully it
and
opens up to
hopefully
other people, doesn't it?
Exactly, mate, 100%, and that's exactly what we're trying to do. How are you now? You know, what are you doing now? You said you running a business with your mate.
Yeah. No, so I started a drainage business. That's going well. Just things are better in general, really. You know, like I say,
Yeah,
you have to an extent, you've got to rely on yourself for these things. It's the mindset you set yourself. I still have down days and days where I don't want
yeah,
to get out of bed and all that, but you know, you've got to force yourself. You are the one that can make the change for yourself. You know, and
yeah,
as much as I don't know, maybe trying to rely on others and NHS and things like that. Maybe that was an eye opener for me because it made me realise, hold on a minute, if you want to change this, you will change it.
yeah. Yeah, exactly. And you know, I thank you for sharing that with not just me, mate, but with everyone else that will be listening to this. Really was an absolute pleasure to have Dan Smith Jr. come on to the podcast and share his experiences with me. Obviously, a lot of our experiences within the military were in the same place a lot of the time, so they were like really similar, obviously. And I must say that, obviously he beats him. He says that, he obviously beat himself up about a certain situation in a contact, and there's absolutely nothing that he should be ashamed of. I mean, he was a fantastic soldier. I mean, we went through, like he said, so many different contacts and fighting the Taliban, and it was all madness, really. And yeah, from me to him, and I'm sure even all the 5 platoon boys would even say, there's nothing to be ashamed of at all. And I just wanted to let him know that. Also, he found himself in a really bad place over the years, and he whenever he feels like that, we're here for him and to reach out to. I'm just glad now that he says he's got people around him, sort of knows when he does go to a bad place, sort of like can help him out, and that's just amazing. And I'm so glad that he's doing a lot better now. On that point, I'd like to sort of say, if any of you guys out there, not just military, if any people are out there sort of listening to my podcast and you do feel like that at times, please, sort of give me a message personally myself, or even a message to Chicken's chat, and just reach out and say, I'm in a bad place. Even you can even come on to the podcast and chat with me about these things, if that helps. And there are people out there that you can call, like combat stress, or there are PTSD lines to call as well that really help you online. Or any of my guests that have even come on here, from Kenny to Matt to Mark and Dan as well. I'm sure they'd all be willing to sort of listen and help with their issues as well. This episode will be going on different platforms of podcasts. I'm sure if you are listening to this now through a different platform, so it will be sort of on Apple Podcast, Google Podcast. So I hope you've all enjoyed listening to Dan's experiences in his life. My 5th episode will be coming soon, so stay tuned for that, and thanks for listening. Thank you for watching, and don't forget to hit the subscribe button down below and give us a like.